All right, I think we're live. Hey guys, glad that you could join us. Sorry for the long overdue show. I meant to. Let me, oh, I've got to turn my sound off in this other end. There we go. The I was going to do a show last week and ran into some technical difficulties, some snags, and things didn't go according to plan. So I apologize, but we're back in the saddle. New time. We're going to do Tuesdays at 9. I think it'd be good to give it a kind of a chance for people in Europe to get a look, and maybe even folks getting off from work in California still, if I play my cards right. Also got a special guest, Rabbit and Red. We've known each other for, I guess it's been almost a year, maybe even longer. We just haven't really met up and chatted before. We've talked a little bit on the email with the phone, and we give each other some whiskey advice and hints and um, different things, tools that we can do for each other. And it's nice to finally get you on the show, man.
Yeah, man. It's great to be here, Telex, and awesome to bring in the inaugural Tuesday nights with Telex, as it were. Salute to everybody that's watching us tonight, and glad to be here to chat about some whiskey with you.
Hey, it's Donner. Good to see you, Donner. Yeah, this is a new day and time we're going to try. And I'm sorry about a little distracted because I'm not used to seeing someone on the other side of the chat window. Let me pop this out, and that way it won't be in my face twice because I see it on the bottom here too. There we go. Hey, Donner says hi, Rabbit.
Donner, great to see you. I think I caught you the last time I streamed, man. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Yeah, Rabbit and Red also has a channel. You should check it out. I know he's just finished up in the middle of a move. Are you still doing your normal show, or are you in hiatus until you get set up, or what's going on there?
Yeah, no. So I'm keeping things going as normal. Yeah. So Telex and I actually met because we were both living in the DMV, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. I was living there for a couple of years. I've moved a few miles up the block to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So I'm still keeping it going though.
Yeah.
Doing about 3 or 4 videos a month. Just going through my collection, sharing my dumb 2 cents on the whiskeys that I get, and it's fun. It's a fun experience, fun to contribute, and fun to learn. So it's been a lot. It's been a really good time.
I hear you there. The learning.
One. Yeah, totally. This year I've actually been doing the first of every month. The first review I post of every month. I've been doing kind of a more aged, 18 years or older Scotch single
Nice. Wow.
Yeah, so I just did. I think I posted it yesterday. I just did a review of the Glen 18 Allardyce, which I know is something that a lot of folks are really into, and so yeah, feel free to check it out. But really enjoyed it. Spoiler alert. That's
one thing I haven't had in a while. I've been recently kind of itching to try to find one of those new revival bottles. I never had I don't think I've ever had the original. I had a tasting of the newer one recently, and it was good. So I kind of wanted my own bottles. I only had a 12 of my own here. I've tasted the 18 and 21 in the past, and the 18 is definitely one of those classics. The tough thing here, I'm not sure about your prices. I know we were talking a little earlier about, your original, we're in DC. It's a lot easier to gain access, I think, in DC, secondary market especially. Where you are now, I mean, how are prices on Glendronach's here in Maryland? They're always astronomically higher than everywhere else. Like, I think the 12 is probably an easy $70 to $75, believe it or not.
Yeah, that sounds exactly like what my experience was going to the DC shops. DC in general, it's a tourist city. It's a city I think that has a relatively high per income for the average resident. So prices are inflated, but I guess the theory is that most of the folks that live there can afford it. I really couldn't.
Yeah, there.
I remember going into a couple shops, you'd see something like a Glendronach 12, it's $65-$70, which I find generally, and spoiler alert again about the review that I did of the Allardyce. I mean, for an 18, I think the Allardyce is really, really expensive. I mean, I think in the US you can't find that for cheaper than $135, $140 now. And yeah, in DC you're lucky if you find it less than $150, honestly. In Pennsylvania, it's different though. So I've only been up in Philly for a couple weeks, but this goes back to something that you and I were chatting about earlier, where the liquor laws in every state are so varied about, like, you can ship to this state, you can't ship to that state. So Pennsylvania is one of these very controlled states. It's all government stores. So the ones I've been in, I ran into a Glendronach 12. It was 60. So a little cheaper than DC, but not much more. But they didn't have the other two. Or the other, like the 21 or the 18. The 15 is so hard to find.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, where, like, you don't really have as much variety per se, and you can't get stuff, unlike in DC, where, if the prices are outside your range, you can always head to the internet and have stuff sent straight to your door from FedEx.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, PA is not one of those places. So
No.
it's one of those places where it's going to be a little bit harder to find what I want, but I got a few ideas up my sleeve.
Yeah. That's we have to be creative in these times. Unfortunately, it's kind of sad because I've heard recently that don't want to get in politics at all, but that they were going to lessen up on some of the rules and regulations of. But of course, it's all based on tax money, and you need.
Right.
Time you get in someone's pocket, that's when people are like, I don't know if we want to change anything.
Oh yeah, totally. And I mean, that's absolutely what my experience has been. I mean, but also, living in DC, I think back to, there's this kind of stigma that, like, the government stores are always more expensive necessarily. And it wasn't always the case when it came to Virginia. The ABC stores in Virginia is another state where it's completely, all the liquor stores are government run. I'm a big fan of Elijah Craig barrel proof bourbon, and it was always the cheapest there. Like, I mean, cheaper than the internet. You go into a shop in any of the ABC stores in Virginia, it's $60, like flat rate everywhere. It was widely available during its releases. Their Scotch prices weren't horrible. I mean, cheaper than DC, where it's quote unquote private market, or free market or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of hit and miss, but yeah, so PA is weird. In the little bit I've learned, I'm not sure that it's going to liberalize itself anytime soon, but I hope so, right? Because, but I will say at the same time, and I think I mentioned this earlier, like, especially on the bourbon front, the PA liquor stores, they do like barrel picks. So you can get some kind of Four Roses barrel picks. You can get some Knob Creek barrel picks. I've seen that, they're selecting barrels and whatnot. And so, it's not Soviet style, right?
Right.
You get three choices, right? But, but at the same time, you still want a little bit more variety always. Luckily, being in Southwest PA, or Southeast PA rather, I'm so close to the Ben Franklin Bridge, I can just head over to New Jersey, where it's fertile hunting ground over there.
Exactly. Yeah, Bob H. If you're watching, shout out to New Jersey.
Yeah. Garden State, represent.
Hey, it's good to see DHS is in the house too. Donna was saying in DC, the high-level drones and the suits just want Johnny Walker Blue. They're looking for the White Walker there, Donna.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh man, they'd be happy probably with the White Walker. Sadly, some of these guys.
When I lived in DC, there was this, in classic DC fashion, there was this overpriced bistro on the corner. They sold shots of Johnny Walker Blue for $50.
Oh gosh, man!
I couldn't believe it. Yeah, I don't know if I would pay $15 for a shot. To be honest.
I hear you. Some of these prices. I was looking when we were traveling. I went to Falling Water up in PA actually recently.
Right on.
Visiting up in Seven Springs area for a little mini vacation, and when we were driving around, found a decent place to get a bite, and it was a little more. I don't want to say classier, but fancier, than a lot of rural restaurants would be. I opened up the book, and they had a Glenfiddich 21. They had a Macallan 18. They had all these great prices on and great selection. And I'm like, why can't this be like around where I live? It's
right?
Really sad. Are you drinking anything tonight, by the way?
Yeah. So I'm actually working on a bottle of the Lefroy Cartridge from 2015. So this is that
Oh
200th
man.
anniversary edition. I'm getting low on it, unfortunately. Luckily I have a couple more.
Do you see something missing back here?
I do. Oh, I do. Well, do you have the Portwood? Oh no, that's the Madeira, right? Okay.
No, I've got the 2014 Amontillado, the 2015. That would be the Madeira. No, I'm sorry. Let's erase that. 2015 Amontillado, 2016 Madeira, 2017. That was the
quarter cask
quarter cask strength, yeah, and then the Fino one from last year. Those are the four I've got up here. I have had the Portwood in a sample, and my God, is it good!
Yeah.
As is the Bordeaux too. Both of them are really well done.
I got a sample sent to me. I don't know if he tunes in, but shout out to Lee Evolved. He sent me a whole bunch of samples, and he included that in. I haven't got to it yet. I've been moving and things have been hectic, but I'm looking forward to getting into that. You're going to really.
We call him Aquaman too. That's a story behind that. Go ahead.
You're going to really shit when you hear about this. So these Lefroy Cartridge 2015s I have. I got one of them on the internet from a shop in Jersey. The other two I found in the wild.
Oh man!
On a shelf. They were on the shelf in a liquor store in Chicago for $75 a pop.
So wow!
Both of them. I'd be happy to at least get you a sample.
I've had a sample actually. I really appreciate it, but I got to have my own bottle sometime.
Maybe I can just send you the tube, and you could just put it up there, and it would assuage.
That'll work. Yeah, that's actually not a bad idea because I have had it a couple of times. I've had it in a sample from a friend, and I had it when Lefroy was doing a tasting down at Dry 85 in Annapolis.
Really?
Like a flight of carriages, yeah. But they had their own little boat they took us on and gave us a little bit of Bowmore, a little Lefroy. It was a Beam Suntory event type thing, and
that's exciting.
Yeah, they had that carriages, the 2015. They had a couple newer ones and a Lefroy 15 he found on the border, which made me very envious. And I would love to have that case. So yeah, if you don't want the bottle and the tube or either one, just let me know, and I'll definitely snag it from you at some point.
I'll save it for you.
Okay, good. And I'm sure I'll be up your neck of the woods at some point, or vice versa, and we can just do a little swap, and maybe even if you're ever back in the Severna Park / Annapolis area, let me know. You're more than welcome to swing by and have a few drams, and just be careful. Make sure you don't have to drive right afterwards. Be able to stay for a few hours.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I appreciate that. It's launching mode.
Definitely. Yeah, we're going to take a look at a surprise tonight that you mentioned it. He wanted to be anonymous, so I'll keep it. I'm going to call him Codename Alpha. Codename Alpha was very, very generous. He sent a few samples in out of the blue, unannounced, really, just kind of was like, hey, this is coming. And they just showed up. And one of them we'll do tonight. And we'll do this first because we're going to do a cast strength whiskey afterward from the SMWS. This is Glen Scotia 13. But this is a Port Ellen 26-year, 1982, 54.1% hogshead. And I found the exact bottle that he has. And surprisingly, I'm not going to say it's not expensive. It is, well into close to $300 US, but I thought it was going to be even, more so like crazy, like up to like near $900 to $1,000 for one of these bottles. But he must have been able to get it for, I think, under a few hundred, maybe like 280 to 300 or something like that. I'm guessing that's what the average Euro price is 254. So.
How close are you again? Maybe I could hop a Uber down there. 26 Port Ellen.
I was surprised. I was like, "You gotta be kidding me!" And
that's
he also sent a brewer, but we're gonna save that for another show, a special occasion type thing. But I thought I'd crack this open to celebrate with you as the first guest on the show, and
awesome, man. Pleasure to be here.
It's definitely a unicorn bottle for me. Do you have any unicorn bottles for yourself that you're kind of like, wow, like distillery or anything?
That's a really great question. So one of them was always the black art, and I luckily ran into a couple bottles of the 4.1, so I've stocked up on that.
Nice. That's the best one, by the way, too.
That's what I've heard. I mean, but the earlier ones, I can't find those anywhere.
Yeah, I couldn't
one,
either.
2 or 3, I can't find those anywhere. And I haven't had the 5 or 6, but I actually have a bottle of it behind me, actually. Yeah, I'm a huge Lafroig fan. I just love their profile, and so I would love to get my hands on a Lafroig 32 at some point in time.
Oh, good choice.
I know that I will never have the excess capital to just buy one off the shelf, and so I'm just on a wing and a prayer, hoping that one day somebody sends me a sample of it, or I come across it at a stupid price, or win the lottery. So that's definitely one that I've had on my mind for some time. Also, the Highland Park 25, which is I've never had, but I'm a big advocate of the Highland Park 12 as just one of the quintessential kind of everyday, reasonably priced drams. I like the 18, but the 25 I think has just got to be mind blowing, and so that's another one I've always had my whims and prayers directed towards. So we'll see if that one shows up sometime as well.
I'll definitely tell you a couple things on those 2 bottles that you mentioned. Now, personally, I haven't had the 32, but I have had the 27 and the 25 and I want to see 25, 27. The 32 might actually have been they were supposed to bring the 32 to an event and they didn't. They brought the 27 instead. That was kind of a killjoy, I guess is the word for it.
Yeah.
And but I'll tell you what, I think you'd be surprised that when you look at the peat aspect of Lafroig, after the 18, to me it seems like it's so delicate and it dies so much that I'm not even sure if I'm not knocking the whiskey by any means. I'm sure there's elements in it that maybe my palate's not mature enough to get out yet. But I enjoy the 18, I think, more so than some of those 20-something-year-old ones, because it's like that perfect measure of the peat still with it, but it has enough refinement to really make it special, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. No, I absolutely know what you mean. I have a bottle of the 18 open right now, the white tube version, and I also have 2 green tube versions, which I have sitting behind. The 18, I think, I mean, it's my second favorite Lafroig behind the 10 cask strength. The 10 cask strength, I think, is my favorite Lafroig. I know that there's batch variation and stuff, but like the 10 cask strength, I think is probably the perfect peated whiskey. I do have a bottle of the Lafroig 25 right behind me. I actually have 2 of them, luckily, and I'm going to concur with you on this. I sat on it for a while. I opened it when I actually moved to Philly to kind of celebrate my move and whatnot. I was a little underwhelmed. Now, I got it at a good price. I mean, it's a $500 bottle. I think I got it for, I don't know, $325, something like that. I mean, it was relatively decent price. And, first pour is a neck pour. I found it to be kind of sharp and disorganized. I know, like, I respect it enough to know that, like, I am not going to, like, head to my computer and post a review about the Lafroig 25 right now. I'm going to let that oxidize, right? I'm going to let that oxidize for a couple months. But I will say, on first taste, I would have, if you gave me the option, I'll take 3 bottles of 18 for that.
Have you tasted the green version of the 18 yet?
I haven't.
Okay.
No.
Whenever you decide to, let me know what you think versus the white tube, because that's the only one I've ever had is the white 18. But I am curious of what, how much better or any difference between the old and the new make. And I can tell you, recently I did have a 2008 Ugadal Ardbeg versus a newer one. And there's enough difference to notice a difference, but it's not like so major where you're like, wow, this is a 5-star whiskey, this is a 4-star whiskey, if you know
You're
what I mean.
speaking my language with Ugadal. I think Ugadal is probably my favorite whiskey, my favorite Scotch ever.
Wow.
I think Ugadal is fantastic. I think I would put it even above when I think of peated Scotches, it's like Ugadal, Lafroig 10 cask strength. And then, there are a couple others that I
The
would
rest.
actually throw under there. Lagavulin, the Lagavulin 12 is right there.
Good choice,
Ugadal
yeah.
is just, my palate, not even, I'm sorry, the 12 is good. The Lagavulin Distillers Edition,
Yeah, that's excellent
which
too.
is similar in the profile of you kind of have that sherry sweet finish, but which again, with the Ugadal is exactly what it is. I find both of those to be just right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, I'm not real big on the straightforward. I mean, every once in a while, if I'm in the mood for straightforward peat, it's fine. But usually, like you said, I like the Ugadal is my favorite for Ardbegs, next to the Dark Cove, of course, but you can't get that anymore.
Right.
And Ugadal versus the the Distillers Edition that you mentioned. That's perfect with
Yeah.
the fruit doesn't really, surprisingly, other than the lore, that's the only really nicely sherried whiskey I can think. I mean, PX Cask and some of the Travelito exclusives that they've had, but as far as core offering, lore is about the lowest you can get when it comes to getting sherry. That unless I'm missing something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's interesting you bring up the lore, because I find in general that the lore seems to be sort of a divisive single malt amongst enthusiasts of peated Scotch, in particular Lafroig. I've read some reviews about it. Full disclosure, I think it's great. But I've read some reviews about it where people bash it, because I think I wasn't into Scotch when the 18 was discontinued, and there are stories that the lore was made to replace the 18. So I think there are people who love the 18 so much and think the lore is just like an inferior product. But as a standalone whiskey, I mean, for something you can get anywhere from $90 to $100, I mean, I think it's exponentially better than most of the other Lafroig offerings, with, again, the exception of the cask strength. But I think it's more nuanced than the cask strength, the 10 cask strength. But yeah,
it beats the hell out of the Select, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, Jesus, man. This tall glass of water I have right here might beat the hell out of this guy.
Exactly. You feel exactly. We have a very similar Scotch palate. It
Yeah.
sounds like.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to something that you had mentioned a little bit earlier about the Lafroig 18 and the potential difference of green tube, white tube. And I'm curious what I think what your insights are about these. I guess I'll set the table here. Every time a distillery seems to rebrand one of their signature products, for example, Highland Park 12 became Highland Park 12 Viking Honor. The green Lafroig tube became the white Lafroig tube. When the branding changes, there's a lot of discussion of a heightened interest in comparing the two. Have you ever found one or the other that you thought, in a comparison of an older release versus a new release, that you found significant difference in? I'm really curious about this, because I have an old bottle of the Highland Park 12, and I weirdly just won't open it, because I'm like, well, maybe it's so good that I should sit on it for a while. But I feel like this is a common thread of conversations that I read a lot on Scotch Reddit forums and other places where, there's kind of this sense of when they rebrand one of their products, that the whiskey also may be changing in it, not just the packaging. So I'm curious if you have had any experiences that would give credence to that one way or the other.
That's a great question, and I'll get to that Highland Park 25 that you were talking about earlier as well. Hey, Gawkin, good to see you. I forgot how you said it in Irish, but Tronamaget. It's $130 for the lore here. It's extremely expensive in Maryland. In some places, I have been lucky to find it as low as $100 in certain places. In Maryland's one of those weird states where you go to one county, it's one price, and you go another county, it could be $30 higher or lower on that one. It's a bit of a problem, I think, for some being that high. If it stays in that $90 to $100 area, it seems like it's pretty good there, DHS. Yeah, on your statement about the batches being different enough. Now, with regard to Highland Park's 12 changes, I did not notice a huge difference at all. Like you said, it was the matchstick was in the old 12 and the new 12. It might have been a little more profound in the older version, but is it enough to really, for most people, to detect the difference? I don't think so.
Mm.
Um, but when it comes to batches like Tamdu, the new 4 is not near as good as the one from what I've heard. I haven't personally had that one. I can speak to Abelauer Abana. Are you familiar with that one?
Absolutely, yeah.
The batches on that are tremendously different from one number to the next, and I've had I think one was like a 57, and one was a 63, and one was a 68, and all of them were so different that the tasting notes were not even remotely close. Like one, I got
Wow.
cloves and clove cigarettes, and it was great. It had that really powerful Christmas fruitcake thing going on, and then I
Mhm.
had the same exact thing, just a different batch, and got none of the cloves, got none of that. I got a lot more spice and a lot more savory notes to it, and
Yeah, yeah.
so
And
I
that
think it
makes
depends on
sense. Yeah.
distillery, really. Distillery, I think, makes a huge difference on batch variation.
I think, yeah, I'm totally with you on that. I think that, like, I mean, another example, I have a couple different batches of the Lefroy 10 cask strength, where like I have a bottle of the 7 open, I have a bunch of the 10. I definitely noticed a difference between batch variation. But what I think is like to that point, and to kind of build on that, one of the things you hear. So like, take an example of like the Highland Park 12.
Hmm.
So like it was Highland Park 12, that was its name, and then they like reboxed it and they put all that like Viking stuff on it. They recalled it Viking Honor, and you read folks who are like, oh, it doesn't taste anywhere as the same as the old Highland Park 12 did when it was just Highland Park 12, and like that's interesting. I mean, like the 18 is even a more profound conversation, right? So like the only 18 of Highland Park I ever had is the Viking Pride version.
Oh, okay.
But like, is it really like when it's not even a batch variation where it's explicitly a batch variation, but just like a rebrand of a product? I've always been curious if folks notice significant differences because I some of the forums I read, people are really expressive about oh my god, like this Viking Pride is nowhere near as good as the bottle I bought last year of the regular Highland Park 18. And I've always found that to be like, is it like really true? Or like, is it because you're so focused on it that like you're, leading yourself to assume such things? I don't know.
I
It's an
think
interesting thing.
it's I think it's all about the timing too, not just the distillery, but the timing. Like certain
Mm.
situations, like you might have heard about Ardbeg being really kind of dormant in the 80s, and
Right.
Glendronach recently going through their spell where some of their 18 to 21-year-old bottles are actually 25 to 30-year-old whiskeys because of the
Yep.
shutdown between the Brown-Forman takeover. Now, if you ask, with the Highland Park situation, I think that was more of just kind of slapping new marketing on the decent juice that they already have to most to an ex, most to an extent, I guess is the word for it. When it comes to a whole different company or um, more than maybe 5 to 6 years between like a shutdown and the mothball and
Yeah.
reinvention, that my new question regarding that is ball blair. I wonder what, like, I love the 99 and the 83 and the 90, and now they
Yeah.
got the
Yeah.
16 and the whole new everything's
Dude.
completely new.
What a bummer, right? I
Yeah.
really liked. I am a huge fan of the Ball Blair 90. I think the Ball Blair 90, which you can still get at $150 for a 26-year-old Scotch, 25, 26-year-old, depending on what bottle you end up with. That's a steal, and it's an amazing whiskey. And to hear that they're going away, I actually just did a review of the Ball Blair 90 recently, but to hear that they're going away from their like vintage release, and now they're just going to the normal year release. You're onto something with that, because man, I wonder what that's actually going to do to that.
Hopefully not much.
I know, right? Because they're I mean, they make a really great whiskey, and they're kind of an under the radar distillery. I mean, I don't think that like the average Scotch drinker is necessarily super familiar with Ball Blair.
I can't remember the name of the company. Is it?
And they're getting rid of that crazy fluorescent packaging, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, I did like that too. Yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
The big sunset picture on the box.
It looked like a Windows 98 graphic or something like that.
Do you remember the company? Is it InBev that does Enoch and Ball Blair and Old Pulteney? Is it InBev? TyBev maybe?
I mean, InBev is the name. InBev owns, like, basically owns the world. I know they own like Miller and Budweiser and stuff, so it's very possible that they own all those distilleries. But the name is correct. I just don't know if it's that company that actually owns them or not.
Yeah, DHS or Gawkin or Donner or somebody, let me know if it's InBev or TyBev. I think it's one of the two that runs Old Pulteney, Ball Blair, and Enoch. Now, with the I don't think Enoch's done any changes, but the one with Old Pulteney is a huge difference, and I can speak to it because I noticed a big difference when I went to a tasting from having my own bottles of the 17 and 21, and then going to their new 15 and 18, I believe it is. And I tell you, it's a dramatic shift. And thankfully, the 15 is really good. I wasn't as into the new 18 as much as the old 17 or 21, but it was during a tasting, and sometimes that really limits your ability to get all aspects of the bottle, if you know what I mean.
I do. Yeah, absolutely.
So I'd be curious. I mean, the pricing I've heard has increased a little bit because of demand, but Old Pulteney doesn't sell as much in Maryland as it does a lot of other states. Surprisingly, that's what I've heard from local seller. But
I love Old Pulteney stuff. I think the Old Pulteney 12 is just such a characterful whiskey, and such a cheap. It's cheap. I mean, you get a bottle of that for $30 to $40 in a lot of places. I think it's just fantastic. I recently ran into a 13-year-old single cask Old Pulteney. There's a place this is before I moved to PA where you can't get shipping anymore, but it's a place called Ace Spirits, I think, in Minneapolis. They're selling for $100. They're selling a single cask Old Pulteney. It's like 52% or something. Just amazing.
wow.
Yeah, but I saw, like to your point, they rebranded. Now they have an 18 instead of the 17. Is that what you said? That's the change they made.
Yeah, 15 to 18 now versus 17, 21. Okay. Yeah. So definitely get a look. If you can, definitely go all in on the 15 if you can find it. If you save enough for the 18, let me know what you think. Notes wise, what you think about that one. Quickly, I'm going to give some notes to Project Alpha, codename Alpha, real fast. I don't want to feel left out. This is really, really well done. I mean, Portland. I mean, you can't really go wrong. I looked it up on. Usually, if I've got like one of those specialized casks, like if it's a Glendronach, if I'm lucky enough to have somebody send like an 80 something, and I want to know exactly which bottle it is. If you go to whiskybase.com, you just put in the name and if you get the year, and if you know the bottler or if you know any other details to it, it's a pretty good search engine to find exactly. And thankfully, this bottle is on there, even though there's only 242 bottles, 54.1 volume. That's exactly right. It's a hogshead cask type. That's exactly right. 26 years, bottled in 09. And vintage 82, cast strength collection, Senatory vintage SV, and it's got a little picture on there, and it actually gives you like an overall rating out of a couple votes and an average value of what they see it going for overseas. And this is actually pretty well done, and the nose is really subtle. Not surprising for such an older whiskey, but whenever I think of these unicorn bottles, I for some reason, and it's a mistake, I think they're going to pop on the nose. I think they're going to really, come alive, but it's really subtle, but it's so nice to get that almost Springbank like danky Dunnage Warehouse note. You get some tea and some tobacco. Really nice mix of like savory fruits, mid-level
Yeah.
like strawberry, raspberry, that type of thing. Really well done on the nose, but really subtle. You really have to dig deep. Now, the funny thing is, when I snuck a sip in earlier just to see what it was like, my God, is it a night and day difference on power for nose versus palate? When you take a sip of this stuff, neat. Wow, it's like a explosion of fireworks with that great effervescence you get from like a Springbank Bourbonwood 14. It has vibrance, even though it's very old. Really well done. Doesn't really need water. You definitely could add to it. I'm gonna add a couple of drops in a little bit to see if it adds to the complexity. But nice mid-level caramel and vanillas and what you typically get from like a it. It just says hogshead. I'm assuming that it's not sherry. It's just a bourbon. Is it? I mean, wouldn't that just be like a most likely a bourbon cask of some sort? I would think. I'm looking for any other details. It doesn't really say sherry, and it doesn't have any sherry notes per se, but it definitely has enough going on to be a really nice complex bourbon. I'm gonna say American, definitely, if not a bourbon cask. But it has definitely some smoke. I mean, it's Isla. The smoke's in the back end. You don't really get peat on the nose, but wow, does it arrive on the end of the palate and the finish? And it has a lot of smoke. It's not like a Lagavulin finish. It's more like a Kalila finish. I'd say it has some vegetal properties and some floral notes in the finish too going on. But I just want to get that out there and say this is definitely I'd say worth it if you could find it around 250 to 280. If that's a legitimate price, even nowadays, I'd be surprised. But there's only two tastings on this site that
That bottle's only 250 to 280 bucks. A 26-year-old Port Ellen.
that's what I was
Wow.
like. Wow, there's got to be this. Maybe this has got to be a misprint or something.
Can I buy them all right now?
There's
That's
242,
amazing.
but I don't know how many are left on the shelf, if anywhere. I mean, some places
Wow,
you get lucky, like
incredible.
this one place called Petite Cellars in Maryland. They have a very nice collection of exclusive malts, even though those guys have sold to a Japanese company. But they still have a lot of good ones, and that brings me back to your Highland Park 25 question. Now, Highland Park 25 is better than the 18. Yes, I will definitely say that. Is it worth $500? I think it's actually 550 to 600 at this point versus the 180 to 190 I think you can get for the 18. Is it worth that kind of a difference? That's where I'm
Yeah.
kind of like I'm having a hard time. Now the reason I'm having a hard time is because I was lucky enough, and they still have a bottle there if you're interested for 250. It's a Highland Park 25. It's cask strength. It's exclusive malts. It's for 250 bucks. The three. That's no scratch that. It's three. It was like 3 to 325. My fault.
Okay.
It was cheaper than $500. I think the new one. I think you can get from 5 to 550 if I'm not mistaken. The distillery version, but that's like a lower ABV. This one was like a 50 something point. 50 at least a 48, if not a 50 something cask strength bottle. And
I'm probably interested.
it wasn't.
We should talk about that.
It wasn't toward the tail end towards 60. It was a lower cask strength, but it was still a cask strength whiskey for sure. Non-colored, no chill filtering, pure. And I brought it with me when we hung up with KB and Bob H and the four dummies, and everyone seemed to enjoy it pretty much. I didn't hear anyone say, "Oh, this is kind of disappointing," or any of that and that kind of stuff. And I've had the regular 25 too. That's like the 18, and you put like a ton of really great tropical notes in it. If you like pineapple
Yeah.
and mango and that kind of thing with your 18, that's what you're going to get with that regular one. Now this one, this exclusive malts version, it was more of a savory, kind of like PX Sherry versus Oloroso. It was the Oloroso version to the PX version of the regular distillery, if that makes any sense. Wasn't sherried, it's just the difference of savoriness versus sweetness. So if you prefer a sweet bottle, then I would go for the distillery version and tropical aspects of it. If you like more of a spicy, savory, malty, thick barley kind of version, then I would go for that Cask Strength 25 that they have at Petite Cellar.
Yeah. Damn.
If they still have it, because they did have two, and I only got one of them, so they might still have it.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a really interesting point, Telex. When you talked about the 18 versus the 25, it's like, yeah, the 25 is better, but is it, what, $200 better? My personal philosophy, in thinking about reviewing whiskey, and I'd love to hear your perspective on this, is that like cost matters. Like cost affects review scores for me. I mean, in my mind, I think about it like, yeah, this might be a 5-star whiskey, but if it's exponentially more expensive than something that's comparable, like I'm gonna ding it a little bit. I mean, Glendronach 18 Allardyce is a classic example. I just posted this video of that. And, I'm in the like 4.5 out of 5 range on that one. But the problem is that it's for an 18-year-old whiskey, like $35 to $40 more. And for average folks like me, I can't afford to, is it worth your while to spend another $40 on this? Like, I don't know. When you can get a Bunnahabhain 18 for $120, fuck. When you can get a Glenmorangie 18 for less than $100. It's like, to me, cost matters when it comes to, the overall score that I would give a whiskey. And I'm not sure if I'd be interested to hear if that's something that gets into your perspective or if you have a contrary perspective to that.
It's really tough. I find myself like yin and yang fighting when it comes to whether price should affect a review. Now, it would be easier to say, yes, I'm on your side if I thought of it as the prices were very close geographically in the United States. Right. I mean, we kind of have to think globally with whiskey, but even if we thought of it just geographically, United States, price is such a up and down roller coaster from county or state to state that if I factor it in my review, it kind of applies. As long as I tell people that this is based on Maryland price from, and I won't even get specific and say where I got it from, then I think the fact that I'm factoring in the price to the review is cool. If I don't tell you what I paid, where I got it, the state at least, or county or whatever, then it's kind of I don't think that's as fair. Because of
that's a good point.
The difference, but
that's a really good point. Usually, what I do in my videos is I give like the American price range, so I'll use like Wine Searcher or
that's a good one to use too,
and just kind of like scope out the range, right? For Allardyce, it's like 135 to 170. Like, do I think an 18-year-old Allardyce is worth $170? Like, no.
Guess how much it is in Severna Park? No joke.
It's not over 200, right?
It's $189.99.
Brother, you need to hit up remedyliquor.com, man. Those California prices, you need that. It's like less than it's like 105 there.
Isn't that insane? I'm like, why in the world are you going to try to charge me that kind of money?
Oh man, there is no way I would pay that. There is no way I would pay that. There's no 18-year-old whiskey outside of Lafroig 18 that I would even think twice about paying that. No way.
Sadly, Glendronach is one of those distilleries that if you can get it online, which I think Dalmore might be another one too, if you think about it. If you can get it
Yeah.
overseas from directly from England, it's half price. I'm not without
What?
exaggeration. Yes,
Really?
yeah, you can get.
Damn.
I mean, half price for my 190. If it's 190 here, I can get it for a lot less. I mean, not maybe not
Yeah.
half, but like consider like closer to $100. You know, a
What do you
hundred
think the?
20. You know.
Yeah. What do you think the deal is with like? Why is the Glendronach prices so inflated?
I think in Maryland, I can't speak to other states
I
because
feel
I
like
know
they're
there's.
inflated everywhere comparatively.
Oh,
I mean, a
really?
Highland Park 18 on the high end in the U.S. is what, 140 bucks?
The 18, I've seen it for like 130 to 140 in the high end. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the Allardyce, you get up in the 180 range. The 21 Parliament, I've seen that stuff for over $230. Like,
Well,
there's no way that that's worth that.
it's just it's because they think they can get away with it. Basically, Dalmore
Yeah,
recently. I'm not sure if you
yeah,
caught my review on the. I was going to review the 18, and I had it, set. I've tasted it before. I enjoyed the dram. I wanted to really get into it and get a bottle. I knew it was worth the 160 to 180 that it was advertised at the time to be sold for. I thought that was a reasonable price for it because it was a little bit more than the Highland Park 18. When I went back to get it, they rose up to 210 plus tax. No joke for the
it's
Dalmore
crazy,
18.
man.
And I was like, you
Dude,
got to
there's
be
no way
kidding me.
I wouldn't pay $218 for any Dalmore.
Well, if it's
Okay,
a Scotch
maybe
bottle,
not, maybe not. I'm probably
if it's a
being
Scotch
real.
Malt Whiskey Society cast strength version, then I'd say go for it. But yeah, if it's not like, if it's a distillery option and you're giving me 40 to 43% on ABV and you're chill
Right?
filtering and coloring it, and you're
Yeah,
going to try to charge me twice for it, I don't think so.
dude, that stuff, man. The Dalmore 12, I think, is for like one of the. It was the first sherried Scotch that I ever bought, and I even remember then being like, I thought it was amazing. And then you find like a Glenfarclas or a Glenmorangie, Lasanta, or a Quinta Rubin, and they're all like more ABV, less price, and taste just exponentially better. And I was like, "What's up with Dalmore?" And then, a couple Ralphie review videos, you learn that you're like, "Oh man, this distillery is whack."
Yeah.
I'm not trying to hate on them. I mean, like, they make some good stuff. I mean, but I
Yeah.
would just say like $60 for a Dalmore 12 when you can get a Glenfarclas 12 for 40, when you can get a Glenmorangie Lasanta for 45, like,
Yeah.
and those are unchill filtered. They're at 46%. Come on,
I call it McAllenitis.
McAllenitis.
It really is because I mean, and this is why Highland Park does that kind of crap too. That
Yeah,
with the jump from the 18 to the 25. Yeah, I mean, there's some years difference there, but I mean, we're talking almost triple the price. I mean, I don't see how that is. And
right.
the fire and the ice and the Odin and some of these specialized things that are $300 average. I'm like, it's damn good whiskey, but man, I have a hard time justifying above a $300 to $400 price for it,
Yeah,
unless it is 23 years old, and some of those are 15 years old, like the Fire 15. I think the
is
Ice
it
is
really?
17.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the Ice is 17. The Dark is 17. The Light is 17. I mean, and I don't know if I should call it McKellenitis because McKellen's got some really good stuff that can justify a really high
yeah.
price like that. But maybe it should be Dalmoritis because they are really good at it. They were
Do you have
really
any opinion on the Macallan edition series?
I don't
And
personally, other than I missed the one. And speaking of really good
yeah, I
finds,
did too.
I had a friend named Scott that said he went through Owings Mills, Maryland. You probably know where that is,
Yep.
and found a store that had an edition one for sale, and it was not $500.
What?
Yeah, I was surprised that he found like the last bottle in this like off the wall store, next to a mall somewhere, and ran in and got it. And I'm like, you lucky bastard.
Wow.
I never tried the 1. I do love the 2. That's my favorite. I have not tried the 3 and 4
Yeah.
yet. The 3 and 4 are on my to-do list. I've heard the 3 is like a lemony, kind of a more fruity thing that I probably won't even like that much. The 4 I've heard is intriguing and good, but I don't know anything about the notes yet.
Yeah.
2 is really
I mean,
nice and spicy. I like the 2 because it's got like a real heavy sherryness, like the classic cut kind of thing going on with it.
yeah, I'm aligned with you. I mean, I've of course not had the 1 either. I loved the 2. The 3 I thought was, yeah, a little bit lighter, more perfumey, which is by design actually, because they brought in a perfume expert to kind of like work on it. The 4 has been my favorite.
Oh wow,
I think,
okay.
yeah, I think the 4 is. I mean, like I said, I haven't had the 1, but I think the 4 is just fantastic.
Wow,
It's
DHS
rich.
said the same thing you're saying too. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
I think the Macallan 4 is worth a 2 bottle buy anytime you see it.
Wow.
I really do.
Okay.
If you like that, I mean, it is. So, what's interesting about the Macallan 4, and this is just what I've read, so it's public knowledge, but the first 3, they brought in these experts from like outside the whiskey industry to like add their creative influence to it. So, like, por ejemplo, the Macallan 3, they had this kind of perfume maker come in and try to give it these kind of like floral effervescent qualities. The Macallan 4 is just straight up designed to celebrate the essence of Macallan because they had opened their new distillery. So it's just done by the master distiller. I'll tell you, I think the Macallan 4 flies under the radar of most folks. It's a great whiskey. I think it's the best of the 3, and the 2
Wow.
I thought was quite good. It's worth it, and it's still somewhat readily available on the shelf. I would pick it up if you can find it.
DHS
It's worth
surprisingly,
$100.
he said that he liked the 4 as much as you did. Like he thought the 4 was worth the price. Couldn't
Yeah,
speak on the 1. I don't think most people can,
you're
unfortunately.
right.
But he thought the other 2 kind of sucked. He thought the 3 was a dream pour level. Wow, the 2 was drinkable, but didn't like it at 100. I'm surprised. The 4 is available.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
you can still find the 4.
yeah, I know. Petit Cellars has it, but I'm not sure if where you are at DHS. I forgot what state you're in, but
You
go
find
to
it for less than
Wine Searcher
$100,
maybe.
grab it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wine Searcher or 1000corks.com. You can find that for under. You'll find it for anywhere probably $99.99. I mean, I would do it sooner than later though, because that is gonna go quick. I mean, because we're getting to the point where the 5 is about to come out.
Oh well, he said the 4 sold out in a week where he is. Jesus, that's crazy.
What state are you in, DHL? Are you in the United States? If so, pop in the chat which state you are, because I wonder if you can get it shipped. If you can get internet shipping, Telex and I can tell you where to go.
Yeah, that's for sure. Ohio.
Speaking of,
Okay.
speaking of, so I've switched over. So, unsurprisingly, I'm following down the Pete wormhole. I'm doing the Lafroig 10 cask strength. This is the batch 7 from January. This is from 2015.
Nice.
I have about 4 of the 10 batches so far. This one's 56.3%. Absolute powerhouse.
The interesting thing is, I noticed on that 10 cast strength that you have, yours has the 200th anniversary on the top of it. Mine does not. So I'm wondering if there's any difference in that.
The reason for that is because this one came out in 2015.
Oh,
So
gotcha.
all their 2000, so much like the Carchis 2015, all the stuff that came out in 2015, even their like standard Lafroig 10, they put that 200th anniversary thing on it.
Nice. Okay. Well, that must have cost them a fortune for the marketing department.
The extra ink, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, totally.
It's not that cheap. I'm looking back here to see if I see anything. This one, I think, is a newer one. Yeah, this is April 2016. I have a batch 8.
Oh, that's batch 8. Yeah.
That was the last one I had. I haven't.
That's a good one.
It was good. I do remember enjoying it even more so than the standard 10. But yeah, you're right. You're right on those guys with the 10 and the quarter cask and the 18. I love the Encore. And have you ever had a chance to have the Encore by chance?
No, man, I haven't.
It's a
I also haven't had the PX.
Oh, okay.
I haven't had the PX either.
I was looking at had a friend that was going to Rome, and I talked him into bringing back a bottle or 2 for me.
Good thinking.
You can, sadly, before Master Malt stopped shipping to the United States, you could get the Ankh-Mor that way. I think maybe Whiskey Exchange might, but if you're in Pennsylvania, that makes it a lot tougher to get anything shipped. But in your work, I take it that your work is going to be within the state of Pennsylvania too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna have some opportunity to travel.
Oh, okay.
So I'll be able to hunt. But no, your point about because the Ankh-Mor is a travel exclusive, right?
Yes, it is, as well as
Yeah.
the
So I was in
ban.
Istanbul, Turkey last year, and on my way back, I was sprinting through the airport. I grabbed 2 travel exclusives. I grabbed the Bunnahabhain Krakmana,
Nice,
and the Lafroig 4 Oak.
Nice. Okay, yeah. No,
And I thought the 4 Oak was garbage. Personally.
Yeah.
40%. I mean, it's better than the Select, but not by much.
Yeah.
But that was the only Lafroig they had. I was looking for the PX or the Ankh-Mor, which you mentioned. And unfortunately, they just did not have much going on in the like Ataturk Airport or whatever it was called. And so I was like, well, fuck, I'm going to try the 4 Oak. And so I grabbed it. It's all liter bottle. The Krakmana was good, but I don't know if it was worth the price. I think I did a review of that one. It should be posted on my channel. But
surprised you didn't enjoy that one as much.
It was good.
The Krokvona, I remember having the it had like some peaty aspects to it, and it had like some cola-esque kind of almost like a Glen Scotia feel to it.
I thought the Krokvona was good. I'm not sure it was. I mean, it was like €80.
Yeah, the price though. Yeah,
the price was just like. Was that a $95 whiskey? Like, I don't know.
I think the reason why is because it's the 1.75 liter. Not 1.75 liter.
No, it's the 1 liter. Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. No, you're right. Yeah.
I think that's why they get you on the price like that. But if you ever get a chance for the Elena Grena, it's a red bottle and it's the red wine cask Bunnahabhain. It's also it's the Travel Retail exclusive. Go for that one. That's actually better, I think, than the Krokvona.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I love what Bunnahabhain's been doing. I think Bunnahabhain is honestly one of the most exciting distilleries of the last couple of years. I have a bottle of the Moyne the Bordeaux cask. So I think it's like a 9 or 10 year. I can't wait to open that. I think the Bunnahabhain 18 is probably one of the best 18-year-old whiskeys you can get.
You got to get your ass down here to Maryland because I got to try that. I never had the Moyne before. That's one of the rare Bunnahabhains I haven't had.
Yeah, no, I can't wait to open that one.
That'd be
but
excellent.
Honestly, I find that like most of the stuff that I've got from them has been unique. It's been characterful. It's been complex and like worth the price. I mean, I really have. I think that they're one of the more exciting distilleries these days. I haven't had much of. I mean, obviously, most of their stuff is so invincible. I haven't had a couple of their more standard releases, peaty stuff, but I've heard good things about it.
The Choychek, the first release, I was not a big fan of, only because it's very just straightforward peaty. If you like the Lagavulin 8, you're going to like the Choychek. But the Choychek Aha, I think that's how you say it, or Ada, I can't remember which one it is. The second release, the number 2, that one's much better because it has sherry influence in it, and it's. I just recently reviewed that one. It's really good. So if you're gonna get the Choychek, then get the second release. The Cabernet I thought was tasty. It's got some peat in it, but it's got a really nice dreamsicle kind of a taste, but there was no finish at all to it for me at least. So I was kind of.
Which one was that?
The Cabernet, it's Ceobanch.
Oh yeah.
That one is kind of. It's a great taste. Like the nose and palate were decent enough, but that finish just left me hanging. Maybe too dry for my my taste or whatever. But
do you like the Bunnahabhain 12?
I do. I love the 12 and 18. Those are like staples. If I could afford to have them an unopened bottle at all time, I would. But I've got 2 already finished bottles up there.
The 18 is fantastic.
Yeah,
absolutely fantastic. Yeah.
On the
I like the 12 a lot too.
And just to finish out on this Port Ellen, Man, the smoke, thankfully, over. I mean, I let it sit out a good 25 minutes before I even touched it. But even so, with this type of, I guess, this age, it can just really hang with the air, and it gets even better and better, even longer than 25 to 30 minutes. It really keeps going, and the smoke has finally arrived in the nose where I can actually get it, and it reminds me of like a Kalila got with like a Springbank, kind of a meld. If you like those two distilleries, you're gonna love Port Ellen, I tell you. Hey, Lawton, that's good that you could stop by and chat, Adams. I appreciate you stopping by as well and having fun with my friend Rabbit here. We're just finishing up. Added water to the Port Ellen and to see if it did bring out smoke of all things, which is really strange to me because you think delicate. I don't want to add any water at all to a
Right.
54.1 classic 26-year-old whiskey. But guess what? 1, 2 drops with a little dropper. You got to be careful. If you add just a couple of
Always.
drops, man, it definitely brings the smoke out, and that's what we want.
I'm gonna step away for just a minute. You riff on this one, and I'll be right back in a couple minutes.
Sure thing, man. I really appreciate you stopping by too, and just let me know when you come back. The palate is like overwhelmingly good on that Port Ellen. Just lasts for days. That there's honey, like I said earlier, the vanilla's still there, but lots of thick honey. Oh, caramel. The fruits are still there. The finish is long. The mouth coat was medium. I would like a thicker mouth coat. If it was a Klein Leash type, I'd give it five, definitely 5 stars. But I can't really knock it. I'm not doing a review on it. I'm not doing stars and stuff like that really anymore. But I tell you what, it does not disappoint. If you could find it for 250 to 280, with only 242 bottles left, you'd be an idiot not to buy it. It is that good because it is unchill filtered. It's natural colored. It's cast strength. I mean, what the hell else do you want? It's from 1982. Classic. And Codename Alpha, Mr. Alpha, I really, 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 really appreciate it. And I only poured a little snippet. I've got some I'm going to enjoy after the fact and really, really get more into it. And if I could ever find my own Port Ellen bottle, man, I'm going to be all over. I really appreciate you giving me a heads up on what it's really like because I always wondered if it's worth that crazy money that some of these guys throwing it. Sorry, DHS. I don't mean to throw it in your all's face. I just want to get it out there that if some of these unicorn bottles I have been not as impressed with, this one is definitely up there. Um, no exaggeration on that. I'm surprised it's not a $400 to $500 bottle. That's how actually tasted is. DHS has anyone had the Walker Blue Rare that uses a lot of Port Ellen. I bet that would be good. I can afford that one, huh? But this one, literally, let's take a quick look because it says that you can still get this for 254 euros. That is about 280 American. Now, I'm not sure if that really means it's out there, but let's take a quick look on another good site is the whiskey. I'm sorry, the Wine Searcher. Let's see if it comes up with any that's specifically like this Port Ellen that we just messed with. And the funny thing is, we're also going to look at a bottle of SMWS here in a second. Oh wow, miniature for $64. An 83 miniature Provenance Douglas Lang for 64. It's only like 3 CL. Man, that's scary. Miniatures. Oh, these miniatures are expensive. Here we go, bottle. Now you can still find some of these. Yeah, 250 for the one you're talking about there, DHS. It looks like this Blue Ghost and Rare Port Ellen edition. They go for around 250. I don't know how much of this particular taste is in that, but if there is a good and substantial amount, man, it can't be that bad. Um, but spending that kind of money on blended whiskey is kind of a tough one unless it's Compass Box or something that's that is really damn good. Um, some of these prices are a lot higher, so I think that price might not be anywhere remotely good anymore. Yeah, 630 to 700 is what I'm seeing for a lot of these older independent bottlings, different styles, but no one's got the exact one that I'm talking about here, but it looks like 6 to 7. Now, is it worth that? I can't say it's not, because if I had the money and I didn't care as much, then I probably would buy my own bottle of it. But to me, 600 is a lot of change. So that's where I'm kind of have to draw the line maybe on that deal. For our
It's
second drink. Oh, there you are. Hey, Revit.
Hey.
Yeah, I was just talking about. Yeah, it looks like the price was really old. It's 620 to 650 for some of these Port Ellens that are similar age and Senatory vintage cask 83, like 655. That's just crazy money, and that's overseas too. So probably have to throw shipping in there too.
Yikes!
Yeah, the
That's
closest thing you
for
can
my
get in
blood.
America is like. Yeah, the closest thing you can get in America is like Johnny Walker Blue Ghost and Rare has Port Ellen in it. You can get that for 250 to 350, but the actual just pure unadulterated, this is the pure juice, at least from independent bottling. Yeah, that sucks that it's that much. I was hoping that you could find it for a lot cheaper, but it's definitely damn tasty. And if I had $600 just to go like that, it would be an easy buy.
Speaking of easy buys, what do you have any whiskeys you're looking forward to still this year, Alex? While you ruminate on that, I'm gonna go to my old faithful Ardbeg Oogie.
I don't blame you there. That's one of my favorites. As
I've
we
been
were
on a
talking
picnic
about.
tonight. It's been rainy here in West Philadelphia, so
Yeah,
I
it's
am
just started storming here too, so I know what you mean.
I'm rolling with some heated scotches. But yeah, is there anything you're looking forward to this year?
Well, the one that we were talking about earlier, we were both trying to find is Lefroy Triple Wood Cast Strength Carriages 2019.
Yeah.
And that should be available now online if you could find a shop that's selling it. Now, locally, Petit Cellars told me that like July, August, September is typically when they get it in. I think it's closer toward the end for them. They're like usually the last to get stuff, unfortunately, in Maryland. But they do get it, and they get it reasonably priced around $90 or so, 80 to 90, probably. But I think that's one I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, me too. I've been a big fan of the Carchis releases. I think the first one that I tried was the 2016 Madeira cask. I think in stock I have the 14 Amontillado. I have a couple of the 15, which is that 200th anniversary. I do have a Madeira. I have like 5 bottles of the quarter cask strength and
Nice.
2 of the Fino cask from last year. But I was a big fan of the Triple Wood, Lefroy, just the standard release. I mean, I think it's bottled at 48%, unchill filter, natural color. It's got a little bit of a sherry finish. It was like a reasonable price depending on where you can find it. It was in that kind of 50 to 60 range, borderline.
If you're lucky, it was 80 here.
but a cast strength version. I'd be curious if you were to rank the Carchis releases that you've had in anticipation for this, the ones you've had so far, how would you rank them in terms of favorite to least favorite?
Oh man, that's a tough one. My favorite, but definitely without hesitation, is the Portwood of 2013. That is the best one I've had, and not just because it's the oldest. It's just hard to find a port cask influenced whiskey done well, and when it's an islet, it's especially hard to find one that's done well.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Kilhoman. I'm looking at Glendronach. I'm looking at some of these guys that have tried pour cask whiskeys that just didn't do it for me.
Glenmorangie has that Quinta Reuben, but it's not cask, but it's like 46%.
That one's good. I actually like that for hazelnut.
And
It's
did
a
you
really
see
good
that they
hazelnut.
actually just released that now? It's now a 14-year instead of a 12-year.
That's what I hear too. I've only had the 12, and the 12 is kicking, and I enjoy it. I'd love to get my hands on that 14 just to see, how different or better it might be. That same price point they say too, which is really excellent on Glenmorangie's. I forgot the company's name, but they own Ardbeg as well, so they're doing pretty good stuff lately.
Yeah.
The drum wasn't all that great in as far as my palate. I thought it was a decent enough whiskey, but I enjoyed the grooves and the Kelpie a lot more. But
Mm-hmm.
that's just my personal palate. But I'd still would try it. I'm still going to get a bottle of the regular. I had the committee release, and it was okay, but I might still get a regular bottle just to have for the collection. But I'm not going to get multiple bottles of that one.
Yeah. I have tried the drum, the committee release. I liked it a lot. I have a bottle of it. I have a bottle of the. Well, I've drank a bottle of the Grooves committee release, and I have another. I thought the Grooves was better.
Yeah.
I have not had the Kelpie committee release, but I have a standard release. I have had the Dark Cove committee release, and then I actually do have a bottle of the standard release of the Dark Cove. And yeah, I think the Dark Cove was the best committee release that I've had. But as far as the Lefroy Carchis goes, yeah, I mean, I'm really excited about this triple wood cask strength. I have, yeah, seriously, I'm not even gonna lie. I found a place in Jersey that was selling the 2017 quarter cask strength Carchis for like 65 a pop. I think I have 4 of them. I have more of that than I know what to do with. But it was my favorite one. Well, I think I would go, yeah. I think the 2017 quarter cask strength is my favorite, followed very closely by the 2015 the 200th anniversary. Then it's a tie, like the Fino. I think the 2018 Fino comes in after that, and then I think my least favorite that I've had. Well, then it would be the Amontillado. My least favorite is the Madeira, but I still think the Madeira is good. I have a sample of the 2013 Portwood that you were just referencing. I have not opened it yet.
Oh, it's going to be one of your
I'll
favorites.
ask to evolved for that. I have not yet opened it, but I'm really excited to open it. But yeah, I think that the quarter cask is one of the best Lefroigs you can get outside of their 10-year cask strength. I think it's awesome.
I'm aligned with you with the exception of that, which is kind of funny because the where you and I differ is you're not a huge fan of the Madeira, but you are a big fan of the quarter cask strength. For me, it's the reverse. I like the Madeira a lot. I wasn't too big of a fan of the quarter cask strength. I do love the Fino more, so I think my least favorite is probably the quarter cask strength, and my most favorite is that port one. But I do like the Madeira, and I do like the Amontillado and the Fino. But yeah, and the 15 I thought was great. I had to be in the mood for that one because it's got that special localized barley they used for that 2015. It's very malty barley oriented.
That's right, because in 2015 they did that. They also released a second Carchis, which was like the 15-year-old. I have some of the regular. No, I have some of the 200th anniversary 15. I've just not opened it yet. But there was also a Carchis 15, right?
That one I wanted to get. I never got my hands on. It was a Friends of Lefroy exclusive, and you couldn't get the. You just couldn't get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No. Someone was saying that they didn't like the. I like the drum CR. It was good too. I don't understand all the hate. Not that I hated it. I definitely don't want you guys to think I hated it. I gave it like a, I don't know. I still gave it like a 3.75 out of 5 or something like that, which says it's better than average. It just wasn't near as good as the Dark Cove committee release
or the Grooves.
Those are 5-star 4.5 to 4.75 minimum drams. The drum CR was more of a 3.75 to 4. I think I felt generous and gave it a 4. But that it was clearly young. They used a lot of young juice in that, and maybe, I mean, I'm sure they did it to make it meld with the rum cask the best, but it lost a lot of the power, I think, that the grooves and the Kelpie stuff had.
Yeah, I have not had the Kelpie CR. I do have a bottle of the regular Kelpie coming to open one of these days. And I also have a bottle of the Dark Cove regular release, but I've not tried it. I've tried the CR, which I'm aligned with you on that. I think the CR of Dark Cove was the best that I've had of the bunch.
DHS didn't like the Kelpie. I found the Black Sea casks intriguing because I did get a lot of great sardines and dark chocolate, and it was so different tasting to me because it was so salty and acidic and thick. It was pretty damn good, I thought, but I don't know. It's all subjective, DHS. You know how it goes.
Right.
If it's got notes that you're not real keen, like I'm not a huge lemon fan at all. I don't like lemon bars. I don't like lemon drops. I don't like lemon wedges. I don't like lemons that much at all. So like the Ardbeg 10 to me is too lemony. It's one of my least favorites. But I love the Ugadal. I love the Anoa. I love the
You love the Anoa?
Corey Vrecken.
But
The Anoa I liked because of the sweet mint factor, and I love sweet drams.
Yeah.
And some people I know, like Aquavite, was really not impressed at all by it. I mean, if you're looking just for like for $70, if you're looking for like a nice white ashtray, sweet minty dram that does well in the summer, then I could say go for it. But if doesn't sound pleasing to you, then I would say skip it all day long. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I bought a bottle of the Anoa mostly just because I wanted to try it. It didn't, for my palate, it didn't quite. It felt like a diet 10.
Yeah.
Like to me, like there was not only like a less robustness, but there was like this there was a sweetness to it that didn't quite register properly with me. I didn't think it was bad. I mean, I think it's a whiskey that I would drink again if somebody offered it to me, but I don't think it's a bottle I would buy. I'm curious what it's cool to hear that we're aligned on the Corey Vrecken. I think Ardbeg 10 is my favorite of the peated 10s, but or we're aligned on the Ugadal, but what is your opinion on the Corey Vrecken?
And going back to before we go to the Corey Vrecken, it's funny. Like the reason I think I like the NO more than the 10 is only because the lemon factor with the 10 is not there with the NO. You get the mint and the sweetness instead, and I think that's why, just for me, I gravitate more toward the NO for my basic core than just the regular 10. But yeah, the Corey Vrecken I think is great if I'm in the mood for like a lot of savory black pepper spiciness. And that's where I think the Corey Vrecken really differs from the regular Ugadal. It's got that smoky sherryness, but it also has a lot of Talisker-esque notes to it.
I'm aligned with you on that totally. When I first tried the Corey Vrecken, I thought that was the most intense. I mean, that was the most intense whiskey I ever had. Like that ripped my fucking face off. I couldn't believe like that hot pepper, chili pepper, black pepper spice note that was just almost overwhelming. I think it's a great pour. I think Ugadal is just perfection.
I do prefer the Ugadal a lot more than the Corey Vrecken if I had to pick between the two. But I respect the Corey Vrecken for what I'm trying to do. You know what I mean? Like the peppery, spiciness, savory. If I'm wanting that, then that's definitely, Hey, Swami, good to see you. It's funny, Swami missed our whole Dalmor bashing. He'll have to, Swami, you're going to have to go back and watch because we had our fill. He loves a good Dalmor bash every once in a while. I'm going to do a little bit of this. This is the sad part. Back 2 weeks ago, before I had my technical snafu difficulties, I started doing the SMWS stuff, and I talked to the guy that runs the America, like, or at least the East Coast. Ben, he answered the phone this time. It wasn't Brianna that was there last time, and we just got to chatting about stuff. And I was like, yeah, I'm kind of intrigued about getting some different. I want to try to collect one from every distillery eventually, just to get your all's take on that distillery. And he's like, I got a Glen Scotia that's not released yet. This is before the dummies, both the four and the test ones, did the review, and he's
So
and
many.
I, and I actually got a bottle of it like really early, and I was going to do a review on it just to be like exclusive and have something kind of. And the funny thing was, like a day or so after I received it, both those guys popped their reviews when they must have bought the bottle at the same time I did, and got it way earlier. Got their stuff out way before I did. So I'm like, damn. But it's good to at least get into it. Unfortunately, it's not available anymore. I'm sure you could probably find it like aftermarket somewhere. Um, it's a Glen Scotia 93.114 13-year-old 59.0 ABV. And all their stuff is pretty good. No chill filtering, no coloring, nothing fancy. You don't need any extra color for something like that. Going back to the smokiness in that Port Ellen was really well done after giving that a lot of time. So this has been sitting out also for a very long time. And the funny thing is, I get a lot of flack for being a big Glen Scotia fan. I'm not quite sure why, because the 15 I think is one of the best priced drams you can kind of find out there still.
I totally agree with you on that. I think the Glen Scotia 15 is one of the most underrated single malts that I've run into. That stuff is incredible. I mean, it's basically a well-aged Springbank that you're paying 40% less for in a lot of cases. I think it's a great whiskey.
Exactly, and I don't see how anyone could not like it. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand that. Like some folks, like Springbank has a unique flavor to it. In some sense, that kind of musty. There's that mustiness to it. I can understand how some folks maybe it's not their cup of tea.
I guess that's true. Plus, it's got a lot of cola aspects to
For folks
it too.
who like Springbank and then to like bang on like Glen Scotia 15, that seems strange to me. Like Glen Scotia 15 for the price, you can find that stuff for less than $60 in a lot of places. Like that's an incredible price.
Definitely, and I haven't tried. I have done their 18. I wasn't actually into it as much, only because it didn't have the sherry. It was more of like a straightforward bourbon type cask.
Yeah.
Still good, just like a lot of people prefer the local barley Springbanks or the bourbon woods.
I have not got my hands on a local barley yet. I'd love to try one.
They are very good, and if you do like that pure, if you're like more of a Lagavulin 8 or like more of a peat purist, you're going to enjoy that more. But I like their when it comes to Springbank, I like the burgundy and the green and the port casks and some of the more interesting, diverse. I don't know if that's the right word to use,
I like
but
the green. I tried the green for the first time when I went to Jack Rose a few weeks before I moved out of DC, and they had the 12 green. I thought it was fantastic.
it took me a while to warm up to that one. That one I had during Christmas. I don't know if it was I think it was 2 years ago, and I was used to the 10 and the 12 cast strength and the burgundy, which are completely all different. And when I had that one, it was so organic and so, and I hate to say just green, but it definitely had a lot of like green bananas and a lot of herbal notes and more green florals.
Yeah.
But once I got used to what to expect, and once I added the water, and
13-year-old green, and it was
say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Say it again.
Oh no problem. I was getting a little delay on my end. The green I had was like a 13-year-old green, if I'm not mistaken, which I thought was fantastic. I mean, but personally, on the Springbank front, I think the 12 cast strength is, the bees in comparison. But
For the price too, I mean,
oh
$100,
yeah,
you know, easy. Yeah, I think Ben did a pretty good job on the selection of this cask. It definitely has that Glen Scotia factor when it comes to the dinky, almost Springbank-esque, not quite as intense as a Springbank when it comes to the funk, but definitely have that Dunnage leathery feel to it. But wow, do you get like lots of cinnamon spiciness, and the barbecue notes are there. The fruit is mid-level berries, strawberries, raspberries, that kind of thing. But the nose is very subtle for a cask strength whiskey. That was kind of surprising when I thought, 59% and Glen Scotia 13. I thought, well, this is going to be all on my face, but it actually wasn't rough and can definitely hold the water. The palate, on the other hand, is definitely explosive and very spicy, almost reminiscent of like a Tamdu Debililia dram, if you've ever had one of those, or a Holland Park 15 Fire, a Longmore 16, that kind of thing is what this has memories of that spicy apples and briny goodness. And
I've actually never had anything from Tamdu, so this is as
oh,
interesting
really?
to me as anything. Yeah, I've not had an opportunity to try any of this stuff.
I think, and Swami, if you're still there, you might be able to help me out with this. I've been seeing a lot of reviews lately, all of a sudden, of Tamdu 15. They just recently released a new 15 standard to their core. I'm used to seeing a 10, I think, and a 12. The Debililia dram was like a specialized thing that Tamdu had, and of course the batch 1, 2, and 3, and 4 that just was released. But I wasn't familiar with the 15 till recently. Have you ever seen that around recently, Rabbit?
I have not. Honestly, Tamdu's never been a distillery that, and not because of any presupposition about their quality, but mostly it's not a place I've been exposed to. So I've never really put much effort into thinking about it or
Okay.
considering it. And so it's really great to hear and be exposed to your experience with this one.
That should be one of your next purchases, definitely. You will not go wrong with the Tamdu. If you can get a batch, I would stick with that before the regular 12 or
No
the
kidding. Okay.
if you like spiciness, like rules,
Most definitely.
then I would definitely go for the Debililia dram. They have a new batch. I've only had the one very, very spicy, savory, nice, a little bit amount of sweetness in there to make be well balanced. The batch two has just came out, and I have seen people buying that online, so that is available. Possibly, I'm not sure if New Jersey is the easy place to get it, but I would shoot for that 15 too. I like the regular stuff in their batches so much. They're consistent. Their batches, even if the 4 might not be as good as a 3 or a 2 or whatever, across the board, at least when you get a 1, it's always the same. 2 is always the same. 3 is always the same. And 4, I've heard, is consistent. So you know what you're going to get. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, that's great. I don't know. I mean, do you know much about their distillery? Is that a more of a Highland vault, or
Not off
whatever?
memory.
These terms don't have much meaning, but I'm a little bit curious.
Not off memory, but one of my favorite, we'll say, resources that I use is distiller.com.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm on there too. Yeah.
And I usually just pop in there, and it's a space side, it looks like, which makes sense. They're not as sweet as a typical space side. I will say that they do have a really nice balance with the spice factor, which is reminiscent of Longmorn. And I think, yeah, they're also space side, which is extremely similar taste profile. So if you like spice, you don't mind a little savory note with your sweetness. Longmore and Tamdu are two that I think you should definitely pick up. The Longmore 16 is really good. I've only had the old gray bottle. I think it's back here somewhere. I've got it hiding somewhere. One more. There it is. It's the gray bottle is the one I've got, the box. The new one's purple. I don't know. I've heard that it might not be as spicy, but I don't know if how true that is. I haven't tasted it myself.
Gotcha. Okay.
But the Longhorns are usually pretty easy to find. I found it in Severna Park actually. I didn't even have to go to Petit Cellars for that one. And that was the old 16 gray bottle box. The Tamdus are fairly easy to find too. There's a couple places I know, just regular shops, not even the big crazy ones that have everything. They usually have at least a Tamdu, a 10 or a 12. And this 15 must be brand new because, March 2019 is when it came out. It looks like it's 46% American and European oak ex-sherry cask. Sounds really good. 15-year. That is going to be on my radar as a pickup. It looks like the reviews are averaging from 3.75 all the way up to 4.5.
Oh, nice.
So that's not bad. I think that's worth it. Depending on price, I don't know what they don't say. They usually just give like dollar signs for, $1 sign being cheap, $5 signs for being really, really expensive. Right. They have $4 signs, it looks like, on this guy. So,
ooh.
Yeah, I guess it's worth a wine searcher look. Let's see.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm gonna have to look. I'm gonna have to look into some of the Tamdu stuff. I've not had experience. Like the last review that I did on my, I'm trying to think if I did any reviews on my channel about Tamdu. I can't think of. I can't think of any that I've done.
Well, check this out. New Jersey, Flemington has it. Central Wine Merchants, Tamdu 15 for $99.99. So that's for a 15-year-old. I think that's definitely worth the gamble of trying it out.
Oh yeah, for that price, most definitely.
And that's and they got it in California for like 110. But if you can get it, they're right there in New Jersey for 99. That's like a steal practically.
Yeah.
Lucky.
Hey man, it's just one quick drive across the Ben Franklin Bridge for me, and I leave West Philly and I'm in New Jersey, and it's the land of milk and honey when it comes to whiskey hunting.
I'm gonna add a little bit of water to this SMWS deal. Have you ever done any other tastings or tried any of their stuff before?
Of which one?
The SMWS stuff.
If I could remember what it was, I tried some of their stuff at, no surprise, when I lived in Washington, D.C. at Jack Rose.
Oh, okay. That's right.
They have an entire menu. I mean, they're, as you've probably seen, Telex, and anybody that's been to Jack Rose in D.C., you sit down there, they give you a 50-page book of their whiskey selection.
I have not been in there yet, believe it or not. I've still got to make the trip and go.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah, I've never been.
What are you doing?
I'm afraid that when they have stuff like Lord of the Isles and Erina Grain, and they have like the Erina Beige, and they have all the good stuff. So if I walk in there, I know I'm going to spend $200 or $300 easy.
What I'm saying is, like, you have to plan it in. You have to anticipate your approach. Like, you can't just walk into Jack Rose. You walk in with a plan. And what I would suggest, and what I've done, my brother was out here. My brother's a big bourbon fan, and we were trying Willets, and he wanted to try a bunch of their Willet releases, all this. You basically just need to set aside $300 and say to yourself, I'm going to spend this $300 on tasting whiskey. And when you go into Jack Rose and they put the heavy-ass book in front of you, just know in advance that you're going to spend that money. And then you'll be fine. Like, I had single cask Springbanks there that, like, you can't find anywhere.
Oh, man.
Whiskey selection is, I mean, they're widely considered, if not the best, one of the top 5 whiskey bars in the United States for a reason. Like,
wow.
So they have an entire section of their whiskey menu dedicated to Scotch Whiskey Society stuff.
I'm not surprised. I've heard lots of great things about their selection, and
Now, you would lose your mind in there. You'd lose your fucking mind. I'm not even gonna lie.
When I found out they had Aaron Based, which is that special 1990 Ardbeg that I absolutely love. Sorry about that. Let me make sure my phone volume's turned off in case something goes off like that. Um, the Yeah, I got to get my butt down there to really
Man,
see what it's like.
dude, you work in DC. You have no excuse. You gotta do it, man.
There's also a new place. Have you tried out the new one called Scott's down there?
I mean, you're never gonna walk into a place that amazes you in the way that Jack Rose will. Like, it's unbelievable. The Jack Rose Saloon it's just amazing.
Have you tried that new place called Scott's that's in Chinatown that they just released recently?
No, I haven't, man. I went to a couple. There's a place called B Bourbon Bar there, which is in Chinatown in DC. And right before I moved to Philly from DC, I went there. They have a decent. I mean, I know you're not a big bourbon guy, but they had a decent amount of like decent taste, decent bourbons to try. But no, I haven't been to this place.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they just released like in the last, I don't know, I want to say maybe 5 to 6 months or so. And they're also going to be a second SMWS bar in DC, surprisingly. And they have like a little club room and stuff that they set up. I haven't been in there yet. I was going to go and check it out during lunch just to get a scoop and feel for what it was like. But they're only open 4 to 11, so it's kind of they're open for brunch on Sundays. But you know how that goes.
Yeah.
I told my wife, I'm like, we got to get down there.
Yeah.
I told my wife we got to get down there and try it out.
When you're ready to go to Jack Rose, you let me know. I'll hop the train. We'll make a night of it. We'll go do whiskey in DC, like it's meant to be done.
There we go.
I'm fucking game.
Okay, good.
I'm a 2.5 hour train ride from DC, and the fact that you've not been there, I would love. I'm the first guy on your Tuesdays with Telex stream. I would gladly be the first one to go to Jack Rose with you, because it is
Awesome.
an experience you need to have. And for anybody that's watching us, if you are ever in Washington, D.C., you have to go to the Jack Rose Saloon. Like, it is, bar none, one of the best whiskey bars in the world. It is definitely one of the best whiskey bars in the United States. You have to visit there. The walls of that place, I mean, whether you're into bourbon, scotch, anything, like, they have stuff that you will not find anywhere.
Is their food pretty decent too?
Oh, their food is great.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah. And they have an upstairs outdoor patio. So you can actually, if you don't want to sit in the restaurant itself or at the bar in the restaurant, they have an upstairs patio. They'll bring the stuff right up to you. They put the bottle in front of you. They give you whiskey droppers. Like, they know what's up. They know.
Awesome. We're going, man.
Dude, it's an experience like no other. But
just let me know when you can get your ass down to DC and we're gonna go.
Yo, I'm just saying, when the piggy bank reaches $300, let me know.
Yeah, have to cut it off.
With no repercussions, with no guilt, with no regret. If you're just ready to walk into this place and say, I'll spend $300 on whiskey, let me tell you, man, you will be able to try whiskeys you'll never find anywhere.
Like, what's the price? Like I was always afraid of going also because of some of these prices on drams. Like, you find
oh yeah. I mean, it's DC prices. There's no doubt. But like, okay, here's an example. I went there with my brother. My brother is not a Scotch guy. He's a bourbon guy and a rye guy. They have exclusive Willet 14-year ryes, 8-year ryes, 9-year ryes, 10-year ryes, $30 a dram.
Wow.
I mean, like, you're gonna pay a decent amount for a 2-ounce pour.
Yeah.
A 2-ounce pour. When I was there last, I tried Old Pulteney 21 for the first time. I think a 2-ounce pour of Old Pulteney 21 was $28.
Okay, that's not bad actually for 21 though. I mean,
yeah. But they have stuff. I mean, there are Ardbegs. You can do like, you walk in there, you can do Ardbeg roller coaster.
I'd love to try that.
Ardbeg roller coaster's, I think, in $62 for a 2-ounce pour. It's like $48 for a 1-ounce.
Oh man, I guess go for the 1 ounce.
This is what I'm saying, man. Like, Set aside the $300. That's what it's made for. You can do what you want.
Yeah.
They have, I mean, their whiskey selection of Ardbegs, it'll kill you, man.
Hey, Whiskey Ace, good to see you.
Whiskey Ace. Go on, brother.
Yeah, this is still going well. I think this is probably I started out with the Glenlivet. It's of the SMWS stuff. It was good. Didn't have the tropical aspects that I love about Glenlivet in it. It did have a lot of nice fruits and some interesting things going on. It was complex enough, but it just didn't really. It wasn't in my wheelhouse. This one is definitely more in my wheelhouse. I'm sure because it's Campbelltown or if it was Isla, it'd be the same kind of thing. I have recently. I'm gonna sit down with the bottle on my next show and look at it. It's a Dalmore, and it actually is really well done too. And it's surprising. When I pour it, I'll show you the color of what it's supposed to look like, even for 13 years, and what some of their other newer stuff. Distillery version looks like, and you'll be just amazed at the darkness, lightness factor. I know people color whiskey because they think it makes a difference in their mind and all that, but I tell you, I don't think it's needed for what this tastes like. Just had a dream of the new Riff Rye bottled and bond.
Man, the new Riff is a big thing. I did a couple weeks back. I went and did a bunch of spots on the Kentucky Bourbon Trail. I am actually drinking out of my Willet tasting glass, which I got from there. And new Riff was a lot of the rage amongst a lot of folks that we were talking to on the Bourbon Trail. I did Jim Beam, Wild Turkey, Buffalo Trace, Willet, Woodford Reserve. Where else did I go?
What's your favorite?
I'm not a. I did Heaven Hill. I'm not a. I like bourbon, but I'm much more a Scotch guy. The Willet was the best tour I did was Buffalo Trace. The Buffalo Trace tour is amazing. The best tasting that I did, Wild Turkey or Heaven Hill, because Heaven Hill does Elijah Craig, and Elijah Craig Barrel Proof is my favorite bourbon.
Oh, okay. Huh. Have you ever had one?
There was one I did Old Forester too. Yeah. And Michter's.
Have you ever had one called Colonel E.H. Taylor Bottled and Bond?
Yeah, Colonel E.H. Taylor Bottled and Bond is fantastic. That's from, I don't want to get this wrong. Is that a Jim Beam? No, it's not Jim Beam. That's a Heaven Hill product, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know anything about them because I do stay away from it because I usually don't like a lot of the bourbon.
Corn whiskey, I recall.
But I do like that a lot. That Colonel E.H. Taylor Bottled and Bond was a bourbon that I could sit down with and enjoy, and it wasn't overly corny. It wasn't too much of one thing.
No, Colonel E.H. Taylor, I actually lied to you. Colonel E.H. Taylor is Buffalo Trace because that's made by the same people who do Blanton's, which is Colonel E.H. Taylor was the guy who worked with Blanton. Colonel E.H. Taylor is basically the guy that started what is now known as Buffalo Trace.
Okay.
That is Buffalo Trace. They did not give out tastings of that at the Buffalo Trace Distillery tour that I did, but they did have it for sale. And yeah, that's a fantastic whiskey. They have a single barrel that's really good. They have a barrel proof that's good. They have a rye that's really good from the E.H. Taylor line. All fucking fantastic bourbons.
I think Mr. Lee might have been the one that sent that one, if I'm not mistaken. And man, that was good. It was just a sample, and it stood out as being memorable. I like to call Mr. Lee Aquaman because he loves to put water on his whiskey. If you didn't know,
I do too. I'm all about it, man. I'm not above it.
I'm joking. He's anti water on anything.
He just goes neat.
He goes neat on everything.
Oh man, no.
Cast strength, the whole 9 yards. And I'm like, dude, you got to put like just one drop.
I think it's right. I mean, to each his own. But I think that you should always try a whiskey neat. But then
Hell
you
yeah,
can also try it with a few drops of water, depending on the ABV. If it's
definitely.
40% ABV, 1 drop. I'm drinking Oogie right now, which is what? What is the Oogie? 54.2. I think I put like 4 drops on this. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, man. I mean, it brings out so much more of what's going on in the whiskey.
I try to tell him, but it's like talking to a big rock. He's a good guy, though. No,
Oh
he
yeah,
just
absolutely. I have a ton of respect. Like him and I were emailing back and forth. This must have been 4 months ago, and we kind of fell off for a second. And he emailed me back and he said, "Yo, I'm sorry. I'm going to send you a bunch of samples." And like he's incredibly gracious. He sent me samples. I think I got from him. I got the Lafroy Carchis 2013, a Bunnahabhain Moyne. He sent me a Kalila 18. He sent me some
nice.
samples. I'm really excited to reciprocate that soon. So,
Oh, yeah, he's a good guy. Our friend Paul, we call him Generous Paul. He
yeah,
just started
sure,
too.
yeah.
He just started a show called Dapper Drams. Check it out if you haven't seen him already. I think he's got 1 or 2 that have been posted so far. I haven't got. I need to sit down and actually watch it to give it as, because I hate watching something like half-assed and not really pay attention.
Right.
So I gotta sit down. And he probably out of the 4 of us, or I'll call him Mr. Lee, also known as Aquaman. We got Generous Paul, we got Prane, and we've got Scott. Out of the 4, I think Generous Paul probably has the most articulate, well, diverse palate and knows. I mean, he could dig 20 notes out of anything, and he can make a diamond out of the crap.
Yeah.
I mean, he might rate things a little higher than I might, and I'll take that to an account, but he can definitely find something good out of something shitty.
Sure.
The Avondurg is a good example of that. It was the worst whiskey I've ever tasted. A 3-year-old Avondurg. They have a 10-year-old that's out now. I haven't tried it yet. It is something I would like to try, even though I hated the 3. But I gave it like a 1 or 1.5. Same with Prane, and Prane actually was, we judged about the same. Lee was probably just about as rough, but Paul was like, I give it 2 or 3 stars, but I just couldn't find any glory out of that with Tram at all. It was horrible. But yeah, I'm gonna have to take a look at his channel. He's the only one of the other than myself that I've tried to get Lee to do some video stuff, but he doesn't like to get on camera very much.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, the guy's got a whiskey. I mean, from what I understand, like when we were talking about potential swaps of samples, boy, the list he sent me of stuff, I was like, this guy has got a serious whiskey collection.
Oh yes, he has every character, believe it or not, from 2008
Yeah, he's got
or whatever.
2008 all the way up, which I was amazed by.
I had to bow when I saw the pictures. I'm like, I mean, and when he buys things, he doubles. He gets 1 for tasting and 1 for saving,
Yeah.
and it's amazing that collection he's got. I don't even know how he fits it in Virginia, but somehow he does. He's something else. I'd love to get down there and visit. He lives near Richmond. I'd love to get down there and visit him sometime, but we almost did. I invited him up for a weekend in August this last time, just to come up and have a little whiskey, get together. We have a guest room here, so I, thought, yeah, you might as well come over. That way, make a drive out of it, stay overnight. That way, you don't have to worry about driving and all that. And he couldn't make it because he ended up getting sick or having. His work schedule is really crazy too, where he works these crazy hours. But
yeah, he said that to me in a couple emails. Yeah.
But hopefully, I get his ass up here sometime and have a dram. I've only been able to get a couple guys up here so far, but surprisingly, with a collection like this, you think I'd have people knocking on the door,
right? Yeah, we got to make it happen one of these times soon, man. We are too close together to not make it happen. So whether it's at Jack Rose or one of our places,
yeah,
we should definitely do a Scotch sometime. And with that, I actually have to sign off for the evening.
I understand.
So it's been an absolute pleasure to be here with you, Telex, and the entire crew. I saw Dr. Pass, I saw TH Silv, I saw Malted in Montreal, a bunch of cats, Whiskey Ace. Raise a glass to y'all. Let's stay in touch, brother, and we'll catch up with each other relatively soon. All right?
Oh, definitely, yeah. Just keep in touch in email at least. If not, give me a call, and we'll figure out something when you got it scheduled. When you got some time, and make it happen.
Let's do it, brother.
Sláinte Vala, man.
Enjoy the rest of the night.
You too. Well, that was cool. I was glad to run into Rabbit. It's funny, we've been talking for quite a while off and on for like the past year and a half, and never got to meet up and chat and hang out and have a whiskey, exchange. So I'm sure we'll be able to do it. Hey, Trooper, good to see you. What's up, old boy? How's my oil? Are you taking care of my goods down there in the in Lake Pontchartrain? Okay, so I need to save a few bucks to have $400 in my car. Anyone want to help? I wish I could, man. Didn't know you were on tonight. Yeah, I didn't plan. Well, I planned on it last week, switching to Tuesday at 9. But unfortunately, I had some technical difficulties, and I was going out on vacation, and it was just a big mess. So I thought I'll just wrap things up and get things going when I get back in town. And I just got back in town yesterday. So, you just got the OP21. Nice. Have you opened it up yet, there, Trooper? I'm just curious. DHS has got a 1792. Oh, that's a good choice. Glen Scotia single malt Victoriana. Oh, that's a good choice. And the 18. I would keep the Victoriana. The 1792, depending on price, I'll probably keep. Maybe drop the 18, unless that's a straightforward bourbon cask on that Glen Scotia 18. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just if I'm comparing it to the 15 or Victoriana, to me, I like the 15 and Victoriana maybe a little better, but it all depends on your palate there. Yeah, he's shopping for a few things. It looks like he picked up a Rye 101, and he thinks rye needs more age than bourbon. Yeah. So one AH Taylor is no big deal. Happy 15, 20 on lot B, and then vintage 23. Ooh. Yeah, you're finding some crazy stuff there. But EH Taylor Ball and Bond is a good one that I think it's pricey now. Probably wasn't so much back when I had it a sample, but if it's obtainable for a reasonable price, I think it's definitely a good taste. Um, the 1792 is definitely one of the better, newer options that you can still get without it being a problem. Um, Leave some for my stepfather. Dave likes his 1792. If I remember correctly, I think that's the one. Oh man, they're already brought it up, Dave. You're in trouble. It's funny because he's the type that, and he still lives in Louisville, where I'm from originally, and he'll go and he got into the Pappies, and that got, blown out of proportion. Then he went to Blanton's, that got blown out of proportions. He went to Elmer T. Lee, that got blown out of proportion. Whatever he finds, it lasts for about a year, and then it gets bought and sold for crazy second market prices. And I think 1792 is his last find where he was like, this is the one that's going to be the one to get for a while, but I think people are buying it up like hotcakes now, and it's going to be the new Elmer T / Blanton / Pappy thing eventually. Sadly, I don't get why people go crazy about these bourbons, but leaves more of the good stuff for me. I'm still sipping on. I got a lot left too. Thank God. I actually really like this one. I like it a lot better than Glenlivet one, even though the Glenlivet was good. This one, I think, is more along what I look for in a smoky / barbecue / Dunnage warehouse / briny sunset. What are you doing on tonight? Well, I hate to say it, Trooper, but you missed the Port Ellen, my friend. I did a 26-year, um, 1982 54.1 hogshead, a Port Ellen of all things. I saved some because damn, it's good. It's a classic. It was an anonymous donor, not anonymous to me. He just wanted to remain anonymous, which I completely understand. And also sent a Brora, which we'll do in the next show. And SMWS Pete Ferry, he also sent. He sent a few really damn good things. I was surprised. Out of the blue, unannounced. His name's Codename Alpha. And Codename Alpha did a hell of a job picking out some damn good whiskey, and I feel spoiled. So I'm very happy about that. And we also did this 93.114. It's the one the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. Ben picked a Glen Scotia cask, a 13-year-old. Did a great job, I think, picking this one. Very spicy, savory notes mixed with some really nice sweetness. Really well done dunnage slash smoke on the side. Not as thick as an Isla, not as briny as an Old Pulteney, but has a little bit of brine, a little bit of smoke, a little bit of everything, and well balanced. Great ABV, no coloring, no chill filtering. Just the way I like it. That's a hell of a color, I have to say. Yeah, it's well worth it so far. I'm happy that I made the move. I was kind of hesitant because $100, just to buy whiskey is kind of crazy if you think about it. But with what you get, plus being able to go local at a couple of new bars that are SMWS bars that have lots of really great food and other perks to it, and I never had a bad offering, even though that Glenlivet, the first bottle, wasn't exactly what I was thinking I was going to get. It still was good quality, and I can't bash it for like false advertisements like some of these distillery bottles are, and that's why I kind of got away from just doing these straightforward distillery bottles that like the Glen Keats and the Linkwoods and the distilleries that have good whiskey, but the distillery bottles are usually like 10 to 12 years old, are real basic, and it's just kind of like, uh, you know, if I wanted a 3-star whiskey, 12-year-old distillery bottle and pay, almost $100 for it, when I can get for 120, I can get something like this. It's like, well, hell, I mean, it's a no-brainer. Um, Night and day difference in quality. So I'm gonna stick with this for a while. 33.52 to ship 3 bottles. Nice. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's not a bad. I'm not sure if you're talking about shipping on these guys or the shipping that you're finding on your deal. You're looking at. I know he's looking at buying a few bottles, but yeah, the shipping is not bad on a few bottles. It's just that initial cost, yearly cost extra that kind of I had to kind of stomach. But other than that, I've had fun so far and have been. And that Dalmore that I got on the next show will be better than any distillery bottle, minus maybe the 18. Um, but it's definitely just as complex and enjoyable. So okay. Springbank local barley, 1792 single barrel in Glen Scotia, Victoriana for 323.49. DHS, what year is that local barley that you found first off? Tell me that, and I can tell you about the price issue. 1792 single barrel, huh? I'm doing a little look and see what I got for the 1792. You should be able to get that around minus shipping about 35 bucks. So we'll say 35 plus you're looking at the Victoriana. That That is going to be about 80 at the plus shipping. So I'm just doing this without the shipping first. And then you said the Springbank local barley, 9-year, the newest one. Okay. Local barley, 9-year-old. Whoa. 150-ish, 155. We'll say 155, right? So I gotta get my trusty calculator out here. If I did 155 plus, now I haven't done shipping yet, so don't take that $35 at a face value. That's minus shipping. 155 plus 80 plus the 35. Now 3 bottles, 270 plus shipping. I'm thinking at least $50. It's 320-ish. You said 323.49. That seems reasonable to me. I think you're pretty much right on par there, DHS. I don't think you're getting screwed. I don't know if you're getting a hell of a deal. I think you are getting the best deal for what you are doing with those 3 bottles. If that makes sense. I think it's worth it. I think those are good choices too. I don't think you're going to be disappointed. The Victorian is nice, complex. It's a well done bottle. 35 for a single bottle. Well, that was just what I found on Wine Searcher. I would drop Tuesday Springbank and grab the cheaper bottles. Yeah, 155 for a 9-year-old local barley. I mean, if you like straightforward bourbon cask type bottles like that, I'd say go for it. If that's your, that's your cream of the crop thing, then I'd say sure. But if you're not, if you're more of a sherry head like I am, and you need a little sherry or something, some cask, cask influence to make it more appealing to you, then just a straightforward, 9-year-old local barley, then I would say maybe. Yeah, the local barleys are generally slightly sherry finished, but not all of them. Some of them are not. The one I had was not, I believe, if I remember correctly. The 10-year-old. Um, there was a 10-year-old that was. The one I had, I think, was not, and I think the 9 has a little sherry influence to it, but very little. I don't think it's much. Let me see something. Let's look it up just to be safe. 1 second. Excuse me, Springbank local. We're looking. The new 9 does rate very well. It's very well received. So that does have a lot. Oh, it is ex sherry cask too. Ex bourbon and ex sherry cask. So the 10-year-old is 15% sherry. You think? Yeah, that sounds about right. I wouldn't doubt it. Yeah, I think this one might be better than what I had. The one I had was a straightforward, more bourbon, a 10-year-old local, and it was 70% bourbon, 30% sherry cask. But I see, I didn't get any sherry notes in it hardly at all. That's the strange thing. I guess it had to been. I thought there was a 10 that was sherry and one that wasn't, but maybe I'm thinking, the 11. That was the one that was just ex bourbon. Okay. So the 11 is the one I would probably avoid. The 10 is 70/30. The 9 doesn't really give percentages, unfortunately, just ex bourbon, ex sherry. And then the 16, which is the classic everyone wants, is 80% bourbon, 20% ex sherry. So actually, I would like to see this 9 because it does have a and slash the 10. But I just didn't get any sherry notes in it hardly. Really strange, but the 10 does not rate as high as the 9. The 9 actually rates at a higher. 9 rates higher than a 10, surprisingly, but it's probably because it's got more sherry balanced in that. Only one 10-year-old shot. Yeah, I thought I could have sworn there was another version or something, some change, but never mind. The 11 is the one that was just a straightforward bourbon, and that's the one I thought I had, but no, I had the 10. So scratch all that. But I just didn't. Yeah, there's some sherry, but I just didn't get enough. Maybe or the type of sherry wasn't what I was looking for. It's probably Amontillado or some sort of real almondy marzipani kind of sherry. I like more of the PX or Oloroso fruit type sherry sometimes. So that's what I was looking for with the local barley. But I don't think that any of them use that type of sherry. Uh, DHS is a 19-year cast strength single bourbon barrel. Wow. Is that 19? Is that a Springbank or what about Spey? Um, I have had good Spays as far as Speyside Distillery. Speyside Distillery is the name of the distillery itself. The Spey offerings are their Taiwanese market that they try to put out, like the Spey Fumare. They have some other names that they use, but that's actually directed to be sold in Taiwan. But they do sell it in America too, I've noticed. Um, but the distillery regular offerings are just Speyside. I have a Speyside 12, for example, and it's just okay. It wasn't like anything special. Would like to try that Spey Fumare though. Um, that would be something that I would like to try. I've heard good things. I think the Four Dummies did a review on it that did pretty well. Just not as much as the sherry finished one. 19, wow, 19-year a 19-year cast strength single bourbon barrel Springbanks does sound really good. The only time that 19-year-old Springbank I've ever had was that port cask matured up there. That was really well done. Love to try it. Let me know if you're ever in Maryland. I go and meet you just to sip it. He's got a single barrel run finished Springbank 19. Oh man, but not as much as the sherry. Wow. I bet that yes, I would love both of those. They both sound great. That's one distillery I haven't had in a while that I miss a lot is the Springbank. All my stuff is empty up there. It has been for quite some time, unfortunately. But I do need to get a new bottle. I think 21 is one I don't have. I'd love to get. Kind of expensive. Have to save up for that guy, but maybe eventually, after I dabble in the SMWS stuff a little bit, if I do save enough on the side, it might be the 15 is good. Now, is it as good as the other ones? That's where I'm kind of like, I don't think I enjoyed it as much as the 10/12 cast strength slash burgundy slash green. Maybe even the bourbon 14 might be equal with that. It was a little straightforward. It did have some sherry to it. It just didn't have that nice power that the 10 has or the 12 cast strength for sure. Um, that 21 single cask, man, I bet that is insanely good. 49.5 sounds perfect. Um, yeah, the 15 is not the one I would probably go for. If I had to not buy a bottle out of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 up here, the 15 is the one I probably would not buy again. So I would probably skip that one. But the 21 I haven't tried yet. I want to try that. Looks like 15 is the least favorite of DHS and as well. So I think I'm nailing that one as far as the notes goes. DHS, do you like the standard 21? Is that the same as the single cast you're talking about? That's 49.5. I'm just curious. 21. 46%. That's a little lower percent. It looks like the standard 21. It's ex bourbon, ex Oloroso sherry. That sounds damn good. Um, it does rate really, really well, but I think it's one of the higher priced um, ones just because it's a Springbank 21, unfortunately. But He's like, well, the 21 is not the same as a single cast 21. Never had the standard 21. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, but if it's 49.5, that's a better ABV and it's single cask, so it's probably even better than the standard distillery. I hate to know what the price on that is. It's probably crazy unless you found a really good independent offering or something of it. Each 21 or even 25 spring banks that they change their finishing every single year, so you can't compare each year. Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Okay. So 121 is not the same as the next year's 21 or the year before that, et cetera, with the 25 even. Wow, okay. That makes it special, I guess. I mean, it's probably hard to screw up a 21 or 25-year-old spring bank, you would hope at least, right? Now for 240, that's a really good deal. Wow. It's a real spring bank. Okay. Wow. About half off. Yeah. I was gonna say that's a really, really low price for a 21-year-old anything, more or less a spring bank. Because I think the 19 I had to pay close to 280-ish. Trying to remember what that price was for that. I think it was around 280-ish, 289, 290, somewhere around there, close to 300. And that was a long, 625 for the 25, and it sucks. Oh wow, for the price. Yeah, that's where it hurts. Like the 18 to 21 year for most distilleries seems to be the sweet spot of affordability slash cost effectiveness, bang for the buck. It seems like once you get above 18 and you get to the 21 to 25-year-olds, man, it's like it's so hard to justify some of these prices, especially when you look at like Ardbegs for $500, $600. I'm like, I would love to try it, the 20 something again. I've sampled it. It's really damn good. It's hard to justify anything is worth over $300 or $400 for tasting something. That's really rough. The 25's problem is 46% mouthfeel. Yeah, watered down. Yeah. That's why another reason why I think I'm getting away from the basic distillery versions versus these cask strengths because of the mouth coat slash ABV factor. If I can get it, you know, excuse me, sorry to cough in your face, but if I can get the ABV, sorry, if I can get it just with a couple drops, not down per se, but just maybe from a 54 to a 52, and it can handle the water. And I could play with it a lot easier at 50, 60% versus 46. It's just a no-brainer. Why not? Because you still get the distillery, what you're supposed to get out of it. So I think the 19-year fresh sherry spring make cast drink is best. Wow, best ever made. The funny thing is, I think I found this fresh sherry, 19-year-old recently, but they wanted it close to $300 for it. Is it worth $300? I just that's the part where I'm kind of having a problem justify the spending. He did 230 for 18 single barrel, but the new Springbank single barrels are 46%. Yeah. The 19 was higher ABV, I remember. It was okay, 300 baht too. Okay, so it is worth it. Especially if you think it's the best whiskey ever made. I do know a place that still has it, I think. I just don't know if I don't think I have that kind of money to shell out for it, but oh, it's not worth it. Never mind then. But if it's the best whiskey ever made, then how could it not be worth it? Or are you talking about two different things on the 19 fresh sherry? Because if you think it's the best ever made, then how can it not be worth the 300? That's where I'm kind of like I'm confused. I might be maybe you're talking about two different bottles there, DHS. Let me know. Oh man, nice spiciness. Yeah, I still think that Ben did a great job for picking that cask. And if he ever has another exclusive USA cask, I might have to take his word for it and give it a try because he did a good job on this one. I'm saying that the 19 is so worth it. It's stupid not to get it. Oh, okay. So it's just not worth it. It's a steal. Okay, gotcha. That's why I was confused. I'm like, how could it not be worth it? It's more than worth it then. Okay. I'll have to try to see if that place still has that because I know it was a 19-year-old sherry cast strength whiskey, and it had been the same thing, and it was about the same price. So, man, that's a tough one because that's some crazy money. But I might save up to get another one if it was $600. Wow, that's saying something. Well, I'll have to put it on the radar, the big radar, then to see. Maybe I'll get lucky and snag it. Just someone only so much money to be shelled out for whiskey, unfortunately. I barely tapped these two new bottles I bought recently, so it might be a tough one. And yes, to me, 200 is my pain point. Yeah, same here. It's I usually try to keep it under 200 if I possibly can. Unless it's something specialized like a black arts or something like that, you do have to go a little higher. But yeah, 3 is about as much as stretching as I feel comfortable even trying to even remotely get close to doing. So, hey, Chad, night. I really appreciate y'all, coming by and hanging out. Wow, it's worth 600. I'm gonna have to get at least if I can't get a bottle, I'm gonna definitely have to get a sample of that because that sounds too good to pass up. Because you got sherry, you got Springbank, you got 19 years, you've got greatness. I don't see how it could be wrong either. I popped over and caught the end of the bourbon blind round table. Oh, okay. I didn't know there was a bourbon blind deal going on. Sorry if I stepped on anybody's toes, but there's so many people doing shows nowadays. It's hard to do one without doing stepping on someone's toes, but it is what it is. I'm sure we'll all have our little audiences anyway. On that note, oh, there was 3 lives tonight. Jesus, that's tough to battle against, but I have to do either Tuesday or Thursday because they're the only days I telework the next day on. Man, they're on your toes. That's okay. It is what it is. I don't mind. I'm you know, it's all fun. I do have to telework tomorrow, so I'm gonna have to cut it off here. But I did have fun. It went way over than what I thought. I'm glad I found a guest last minute. It's funny. I called up Rabbit just out of the blue a couple hours before I went on, and I was like, "Hey, would you like to do a little live show together?" And he was game and did a great job, and I really appreciate it, Rabbit. Hopefully, excuse me, we'll do it again sometime because there's no reason not to. Um, if he's unavailable, I'm sure we can maybe dig something up with Swami or Whiskey. I Whiskey She Wines. I actually reached out to them, and they were interested in doing a live. So I think I might give them a call. If I can't give them a call, at least an email and say, hey, let's try next Tuesday at 9 if you're available. So that's going to be on my radar. If not those two, I'll find somebody. Maybe one of you guys, if you would like to. Love to see you and I, Whiskey She Wants. Yeah, that would be cool. Um, they're locals for me, good people. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, they're more than welcome. And if I can't get them, then oh, thanks, man. Yeah, Falling Water. I just got back from. It's a great place to visit if you haven't been to Pennsylvania. You got to get your ass out there. It's a very, very, very interesting, a good learning experience. Peaceful, nice walk. Uh, wasn't too crazy busy. They have a really good system of getting into the house and getting out. So well worth a visit too. Very good gift shop too and cafe and stuff. So I appreciate the kudos. Had to get something on my way out of there and. Oh, you was just down on Alpala. Yeah, I was just down there visiting Seven Springs this last week. We just got back yesterday, so we were up in that area, and my wife was like, "We got to visit Falling Water before we go." And I was like, "Oh, that sounds great," because I've never been. I always wanted to see it, and learned a lot about visiting. So hopefully get out and do a couple. I was going to do a show like on location there, but wasn't quite sure how the internet was going to handle. It was kind of in and out, spotty. We lost electricity actually while we were staying in Seven Springs for a night. Thankfully, it came up before the next day, but we were out several hours without electricity. They had a storm came through and I think hit a transformer or two. So gotta love it when that happens. But we'll uh, we'll get together and do that Dalmore, and we will do the SMWS Dalmore I'm talking about, and we'll also do Aurora. And he was very cool in seeing a 26-year Aurora 1981 Sherry butt. Look how dark that sucker is. Oh my goodness. 57.1. I can hardly contain myself. Codename Alpha, I really appreciate the generosity on that. Oh yeah, I didn't have much data, but my friend who is. Oh, it must have been when you were out and about. Uh, I'm really, really going to savor that Glen Scotia bottle. Hopefully, the other ones I dive into later down the road are going to be just as good. That Dollamore one was a good one, so I think we'll have fun with that, and maybe another surprise or two. Hopefully, get another guest. Sorry, if you're interested in being a guest, just send me an email at telex@outlook.com. That's Tango Echo Lima Echo X-ray at outlook.com. Let me know if you're available next Tuesday night. We'll set up a Google Hangouts like I did with Rabbit and see how it goes. And what the hell, right? Maybe I'll hit up. Maybe I'll snag Daniel up in Moose Jaw and getting back on the show. He was a fun one to do. DHS asked how much bourbon have you done? I've done a lot of bourbon in my time, but have I done a lot of bourbons that I've actually enjoyed? Not so many. I tend to stick to ryes if I do American whiskey, I guess is the word for it. Uh, not so much in the corn. I don't really enjoy that aspect as much, but never really liked the pappy stuff, the weedy stuff. I'm not real into. Midsummer Night's Drams are pretty good. The High West stuff. I think they had a gun. What is it called? Gunfire. That was pretty good. I tried the new Blackened stuff. Metallica released. It was okay. It was pretty good. Um, all of it's really similar to me. I just get so much more out of a bottle, a really good bottle, especially cask strength Scotch, than I do a bourbon. So I tend to and I like a malt flavor a lot more than a corn flavor or barley. So that's why I kind of tend to stay away from the. It's sad. I've tried moonshine. It just doesn't do it for me because of the corn. I'd love to try like a rye moonshine or moonshine that's not corn based. I probably would enjoy it a lot more. So there you go. But man, do I love malt. I'm a huge Whoppers fan. Anyway, we done any American malts. I'm trying to think of any American. I want to try that McCarthy's Oregon. They've got is it McCarthy's? I think it's called. It's the Oregon one that where they take the Lagavulin peat, but they do the whiskey over in Oregon. I can't remember the name of that one. McCarthy is what I want to say. I want to try that, but I haven't had a boatload of. Trying to think of one I did like more recently. It's been a while since I tried it. I did do a review, and I don't usually do reviews on bourbon. I will give you a heads up on one that I enjoyed a lot. Give me 1 second if I can bring up the taste. I'll tell you what it was. It was a Corsair Triple Smoke, American Single Malt, Tennessee, USA. I had it on my birthday last year. It had a very awesome nose. It had a lot of cherries, both black and regular cherries. It had sweet corn, smoked peat, and vanilla. Medium mouth coat of nice spice, hint of black pepper, smoky vanilla, and toffee on the palate. Like a Scotch bourbon and rye all in one sitting, thankfully without the dill pickle flavor. Solid performance if you like a sweet, buttery, long finish too. I gave it a 4 out of 5. The age could make it more complex, but why bitch about it? I gave it a 4 out of 5. Corsair Triple Smoke. If you find it, I think it's definitely worth a look. And it appears that it averages about a 3.68 out of 5 out of 238 different reviews. It's only 40%, so it's not a high ABV by any means. It's lower ABV. New charred oak, new charred oak cast type. I have found it rather tasty. It's a small batch, triple smoke. Whisky says Corsair's doing some solid stuff, which they put out some older age stuff. Yeah, nice. Sounds good. Balconies. No, I don't think I've ever tried a balcony. Let me see something. Balcony. Oh, balcones? Balconies? I don't know sure how you say it. It's Texas. Balconies, balcones, it's Texas single malt. Wow, it rates really well. 92 out of 100, 88 out of 100, 79 out of 100, 85, 86, 91, 92, 92, 90, 91, 88. So they are all really well done Texas whiskeys, it looks like. Their basic single malt is not cheap either, it looks like. Wow. Made from USA, 52.5, 4 out of 5 average out of 430 tastes. Wow. That's a very popular one. Ex-bourbon cask. That's like straightforward. They got a blue corn, 3.55 out of 48 reviews, 64.5. Wow. New chart American oak. Interesting. Pot still bourbon, 3.31. Not as well received on that one. High Plains, Texas seems to be pretty good. Not that it's not well received, just not very well reviewed. There's not very many reviews of that one. Texas Rye, 100 proof. Let's see. True Blue Cask Strength. Now that sounds like more up my alley. A solid 4 out of 5 rating out of 43, 61.2%. It's NAS though, but it's 80% corn, no requirement to age, but if aged, must be in either new uncharted oak barrels or used oak barrels. Interesting. It's no chill filtered, distilled from roasted blue corn made without additives in Waco. Interesting. Huh. I guess these guys are based out of Waco then. It's their distillery's hometown. Okay. I'm just looking, sorry guys, of some of their stuff. They had a lot of different offerings. Wow. We should do a Stranahan's Taste Live. Okay, we could try. I have to find a Stranahan's though. I'm not familiar with that one at all either. For Wasman's single malt. That sounds familiar for some reason. Wasman's single malt, Virginia. Okay. Doesn't rate near as high as that other one, but I'll try anything once. This one was really nice for the profile. Stranahan. Stranahan. Let's see if we can look this up. Okay, Colorado whiskey. 88, 85, 92. Sherry cask. That sounds good. Snowflake. That's funny. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. It's Colorado. Rates pretty well. 47% for their straight up stuff. Diamond Peak is 47, and Diamond Peak is a 4-year. The regular one is a non-age statement, looks like. Sherry cask. Now that sounds perfect. 47%. It's NAS, but it's new charred American oak with finished with Oloroso sherry. That sounds damn good. Rates really well. 4 out of 5, 92 out of 100-ish kind of thing. Snowflake does pretty well too. 4.26. 47% white oak. Finished in wine, sherry, cognac, rum, and tequila. Wow, now that's just like a melting pot of everything. It's surprised it rates as well as it does, being that many influences on it. I'll definitely try to look for those guys if I can, but I'm not sure how it's gonna be tough. The Texas stuff is young. Yeah, that makes sense though. I think that balconies, I'm not sure how you say it, but that one sounds the most intriguing out of the ones you guys have mentioned. Stranahan's being a close second, and the Wasman's, it didn't look like it rated very well, but I'm willing to give it a try since I think it's really interesting. I'll definitely give anything a try. True without age, it may be hard to sell product. Yeah, has a harsh yoke presence that hasn't had time to mellow. That's for sure. I have had some good Texas stuff. I had a friend, haven't seen him in a while, Bobby Pernell. I'm not sure if he's doing well. Hopefully he's still doing well out there. He's sent a couple Texas ones that I'm not sure. I think the Pelicones might have been one. It sounds familiar. It's been a while since I've had those, but I did save some of this stuff, so I think I'll be able to look it up and see if it was one of the ones he sent. I did enjoy one of them out of a lot out of the ones that he sent, and that might have been the one it was. Seeing as a 4-year-old and $200 isn't going to work, but it might be worth it. Yeah, I'm not going to be paying $200 for a 4-year-old whiskey. I don't think, unless it's really damn good. Oh, Westman's is cool because they use a bunch of different wood. Okay, yeah, that sounds good. I like a lot of balance and different flavors, so I'll try it. I gotta run, guys. I do have to unfortunately work some tomorrow. Even though after tomorrow I am on vacation again till the 8th, so tomorrow's gonna be a lot of catch up and getting some things done that need to be done before heading off into the sunset until the 8th. So happy July 4th, everybody. Cheers. And DHS Whiskey, all the other guys, Swami, Rabbit, Chad, Trooper. Oh, man. Thankfully, there's Donner. There's been a lot of people come and go. So I appreciate your all support. And hope to see you guys in the next one we'll do with that Dalmore SMWS and the Brora, and have a chat. Hopefully, someone will want to stop by and have a little fun. Slanchava.